All right, the 15th of August 2023, another exciting day for me to be here on Biashara Tuesday. How smooth is that jam right there? If you know it, you can tell us if it's kick-starting a very smooth and exciting and successful day for you. But welcome back to Biashara Tuesday on KUTV Rise. Today it's a morning breakfast show, the best radio on TV experience that you can ever get. It's informative, it's entertaining, and it's also educative. Today, we are focusing on business after a day of art and culture on Monday with my colleague Karen Blessing. I pick it up today, taking a look at the economy, business, and politics, and of course, how this interplay into ensuring it is affecting, or seeing how it is affecting your source of income and how you're surviving within the economic times. Whatever region of the world you're in, if you're in Kenya, please do tell us where you're watching us from. If you're outside in the diaspora, you can follow this stream on KUTV Kenya's YouTube, KUTV Kenya Live. That's why we'll be streaming live all the way to 10 in the morning. Today, we're focusing on a lot of turnaround, and the first of it, which is the politics, bipartisan talks between the Kenya Kwanza government and also the opposition side, which is Azimio la Umoja. At this point, the technical team, or the technical committee, which is co-chaired by Kalonzo Musyoka, the former vice president, and also the majority leader of parliament, Kimani Ichung'wah, is now recommending that both factions of the political side come together to sponsor a motion, or to push a motion in the Senate and in Parliament to ensure that they are establishing a legal framework to ensure that this dialogue, or whatever is the result of these talks between the Kenya Kwanza side and the Azimio la Umoja side, are things which can be admitted in Parliament. So they are setting up legal mechanisms, or they are pushing for a motion to set up legal establishment to ensure that the dialogue team, which is comprising of people who are not in the parliamentary group, if you take a look at, of course, even Vice President or former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, who is not in Parliament, any deliberations that need to be made there in that dialogue committee have to be admissible in the houses, that is the upper house and the lower house. So there's a motion which will be tabled next Monday, that is Senate being in recess, will be called back to debate this matter to ensure that the talks that, or the results of these talks between Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio la Umoja side are things, of course, that can go into law. And some of the issues that are facing this technical team at the moment are how to harmonize the needs that are there on this other side. The opposing sides, of course, have each an agenda to present. Ichung'wah has listed his 5-point agenda, including the reconstitution of the IEBC, implementation of two-third gender rule, the entrenchment of the CDF, establishment of the office of the leader of the opposition, and embedding the office of the prime cabinet secretary. On the other side, the Azimio side is asking for the reopening of the servers, actually insisting on the reopening of the servers, electoral reforms, and as well as guaranteed on the non-interference of the affairs of the opposition parties. There's nowhere the high cost of living is featuring between these agendas which have been placed on the other side between the government and the opposition. We'll be taking a look at this with a fellow journalist here on KUTV Kenya, who also takes a look at matters of politics. Joseph Kes will be here on the newspaper review for the first time to help us understand exactly what is happening in the nation in terms of politics. He's been there, of course, in several of these forums. What is his outlook on the direction of these talks? And of course, if the high cost of living gets featured at any point during this, of course, proceedings, at what point will the needs of the Kenyan be on the table of these discussions? That's what we are taking a look at here on the newspaper review. But later on, there are a couple of guests who are coming in. We are taking a look at insurance and also setting up your own business. How do you build an empire? In this tough economic times, there are two things that you need. Even when you take a look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need shelter, you need food, and you also need, of course, all those basic needs at the very bottom of the pyramid before you can proceed all the way to the top of actualization. And here, at the current economic times in Kenya, one thing you need is a home, and we are going to take a look at that. A very young person in the industry who is going to inform us, of course, how he set up his own business, but also on the other end, how do you get yourself a home, even in the current economic situations. KRA is auctioning overstayed goods over in the coastal region. If you have some money for second-hand electronic goods, for cars, for any of those products that have been shipped from abroad, but the business people haven't been able to pick it up, you can go over in the coastal region. Buy fast, of course, logging into the KRA portal before you see what is available for you to get over in the coast. So that is the opportunity that you have from the government, and a couple of more that we'll be taking a look at. You can breathe. By the way, the fuel prices remain unchanged for the month of August and September, and I'm giving you that information in just a bit when I give you the road traffic updates courtesy of Ma3 route. We have to see what is happening in the roads out there before we proceed to business and work. So welcome to Biashara Tuesday. We're going to have a lot of fun here. My name is Richard OKENYE. Interact with me on all social media platforms at Richard_OKENYE. Tag the station at KUTV Kenya. We'll be seeing your feedback and then interacting with you as we go on with matters of the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Welcome to the show. Let's kick it off. Watching the show from the very first minute are two Njugunas who are tuning in all the way from a place called Ngesha. If you know where Ngesha is, they are at Nobility House, and we're shouting out the Nobility House team, where Jesse Kimotho and his friend Njuguna are watching. Both of them are called Njuguna, so a shout out to both of these Njugunas who are tuning in from Ngesha, and also shout out to the whole Nobility House team for watching the show. What is happening on those roads is what I'm giving you information in a short while. But first of all, what are the fuel prices? As EPRA now is saying that the prices are going to remain unchanged for the August and September month, signaling the return of subsidies which was scrapped in May. President William Ruto was very insistent on the fact that his government will not be relying on any subsidies to support the harsh economic times. However, there's a return of those now as August and September prices remain unchanged, even as palm prices all over the world go up. So this is what you're getting when you're fueling from today. It was supposed to be at 202 Kenyan shillings for a liter of super petrol, but you're going to get it at 194. Diesel at 183, was supposed to be at 183 shillings. You're going to get it at 179 Kenyan shillings. Kerosene was supposed to be going up to 175, will be at 169. So super petrol, again, 194 Kenyan shillings, rather than 202, which was supposed to be kicking in from this month as the prices, the landing prices of fuel have gone up. However, the government is cushioning all road users from this through the reintroduction of these subsidies. You can breathe a sigh of relief. However, we don't know what will happen after September. Likelihood of us going back all the way to 202 Kenyan shillings per liter of petrol. The government said there won't be any subsidies in its tenure, but this is the first of those which are coming back after they were scrapped in May. However, this is curious given that EPRA raised taxes in a month where High Court warned against the collection of taxes from the Finance Act of 2023. This happened in July, from the 1st of July to the end of July. In August, the High Court has requested that the EPRA General Director, Daniel Kipto, shows up in the court to explain why they collected these taxes. So, my very educated guess is that this is a forgiveness these taxes that were collected in July, so that now we can get back to business in after September. It should be October. So we'll take a look at that. We'll be following it up, so you can be sure that Biashara Tuesday will give you information as it comes in. The weather updates for the day: forecast 26 degrees Celsius a high and lows of 14 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy, so you can take a look at that full forecast if you have a smartphone. That is information you can get from Google easily. What's happening on those roads? Mathri route is currently concentrating on the fuel prices. However, this information here, first from someone who is in Kigali, saying that he wishes border borders in Nairobi could obey traffic lights as those here in Kigali city. They seem to be stopping at every traffic light stop, so that's unusual for those who have experienced border in Kenya. So we wish to copy what is happening in Rwanda. Matatus from Rainbow Shuttle are taking a risk along the Mombasa Road, and we are seeing a video here, but not more information. So let us know what exactly is happening in Mombasa Road. Kangundo Road Bridge kumeshikana since yesterday. Still the same situation today. Maybe Kipchumba Murkomen should also consider dialing the Kangundo Road. So that's a concern there from Quid Pro on Twitter. Current situation at Outer Ring Road, kumeshikana kidogo, but it's moving, so you can get to see if you're well on your way to town. Kangundo Road also still information. Akuko vizuri, expect some traffic on Outer Ring Road following high drama between police officers and a suspect. Interestingly, the public is siding with a suspect after he was arrested. So that's information mostly from Kangundo Road and Outer Ring Road. Mathri route here, someone says they are going to Nanyuki Road, industrial area, specifically KPC. Kindly, which matatu should I use from the CBD? Google that information. You can find it easily, but let us know what is happening. If I don't receive information from Thika Road, it means kunakaa vizuri, so I'm going to assume things are well all the way to town. But other major roads, already information: Mombasa Road, Kangundo Road, Outer Ring Road, hakukai vizuri. Elsewhere, we'll be updating you as we go on with this show. What's happening in your world since yesterday? If you tuned into the bulletin, good for you, but let's get to go over that again and also see what developments have happened as of this morning. The news updates from KUTV and Rise today are coming to you in a short while. Don't go so far. So today I've hit a very important milestone. Actually, 2 days ago, I completed my second book of the year after struggling with it for a period of 3 months. It shouldn't be taking me so long, but that is how long it took me to get to the last page of The Art of War, which is a book written by I don't know if I should say Sun or Sun Tzu, who was a general back in the days of the Chinese Empire when it was just starting. He's actually considered sort of a myth and a legend. Some people think he might not have existed, some think he did, but his text is actually alive and has been used by very serious emperors who have been able to take China to where it is. So it is a military text, however, it is applicable to your day-to-day activities and how you tackle the challenges of life. So if you consider something force that you should consider thinking about, this military approach has been very useful for me in taking a look at the challenges I am facing in my day-to-day activities. So that was my second book of the year. It is majorly military text, advising how to form your armies when going to attack your enemy, how you should react, how you should regroup, what kind of resources you should be having. So it's a good book, a very strong recommendation from me. Earlier on, I had struggled with George Orwell's 1984 for 3 years, actually, before I was able to finish it this year. Chapter after chapter, I kept going back to it, but I couldn't even get past the third chapter. However, this year, I put myself to the task to finish it, and it was actually a pretty good read. Both of these are fiction books, but they are very applicable to your day-to-day reality. So take a look at that as I head out to my third book, hopefully the 5 a.m. Club, which I have requested from a friend here in KUTV. I'll be giving you my updates and some of the lessons that I picked. Earlier in 1984, after I finished it, I gave a quote here on Biashara Tuesday. I'll be repeating it in a short while during the show, and also one more that I picked in that Art of War. So take a look at those two books, and you can tell me if you're a reader or a serious book club member somewhere. Tell me what your current read is, and also you can share some of those quotes that you found very useful for you. But that's a bit of my personal information there. You can interact with me and tell me more at Richard_OKENYE. Let's get to see what is happening in KUTV's news updates. I have information that the Art of War was written between 475 and 221 BCE. This is before Christ, before Common Era. That's what it's called, BCE, before Common Era, or before Christ, as is popularly known. So this is a book written way back before Christ, but it's applicable in 2023. Take a look at it and let me know if you share the same sentiments. Now, these are the developments from your world. Kenya Kwanza and Azimio Dialogues met yesterday for talks, but the meeting was adjourned before members agreed on the agenda of the discussions. Leaders of the two sides, Kalonzo Musyoka of the Azimio side and Kimani Ichung'wah of Kenya Kwanza, had promised the agenda will be agreed upon on Monday after the two groups named technical teams of 4 members each last week on Friday. Azimio, on its part, has consistently stressed that talks must encompass discussions about the cost of living, the composition of the IEBC selection panel, and an audit of the 2022 presidential election results.
We have also indicated that we are here to engage in good faith, in line with our laws and our constitution, and we want to believe we are all here in the interest of the Kenyan people and the Kenyan state. And therefore, we shall be engaging in that dialogue process, which now formally begins because we have now the two technical teams from both sides formally constituted.
The teams are actually going to synchronize the agenda. And I'd started by saying, as far as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya is concerned, our teams have been ready, but I think that our friends are also now ready, and we want them to engage so that they can look. As you remember, both sides had their set of agendas, and it's important they get synchronized, and that we leave to them.
Now, President William Ruto has held talks with Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni at State House, Kampala, Uganda, on matters of mutual interest, including trade, infrastructure, regional security, and agriculture. According to President Ruto, Kenya and Uganda have a firm partnership based on decades of East African brotherhood, strong cooperation, and consistent engagement. The president is also expected to open a devolution conference set to begin today, 15th to the 19th of August in Uasin Gishu County. Maintain. the pricing of the watch that the president is wearing there as he visits the Ugandan president. You can get to, it's banter, so interact with us on social media also. Let's hear what you think about. But also, I would love to know what Joseph Kess has to say, this being a visit to the Ugandan president right after former President Uhuru Kenyatta also did meet with Museveni, I think a week or so ago, and then a few days later we are seeing the President of the Republic also going to have a discussion with the Ugandan president. I'm having a discussion here on the newspaper review section on the state of the nation, some of these political developments. So Joseph Kess, who is also a journalist with us at KUTV Kenya, will be having a very exciting discussion with me. You don't want to miss out on that. In the meantime, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called upon county governments to ensure water utilities are run professionally without any form of corruption. Mudavadi, who was speaking while officiating the 12th edition of the Water Companies Sports Association Games, which are held in Olentimama Stadium, Narok County, said that the government is keen on increasing water availability to all its citizens.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called upon county governments to work in unison with water companies to ensure they are run without corruption and in good governance.
In addition, I ask the county governments to ensure the water companies are run professionally, without any form of corruption, and with good corporate governance as required by the regulator. The water companies must reduce non-revenue water in their utilities to acceptable levels.
Mudavadi says that a large section of the population is still struggling with lack of sufficient water and that climate change is worsening the situation.
Deforestation, pollution, and climate change have led to severe water stress, not only in Kenya, but across the world. Kenya is a water-stressed country. A considerable size of the population still lack access to safely managed drinking water and safely managed sanitation.
Water, Sanitation and Irrigation Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome has said that government will continue to implement policy, governance and legal interventions to increase water storage and improve sanitation in the country.
Kenya is listed as one of the water-scarce countries, and to address this situation, the government is implementing programs such as the construction of 100 dams aimed at increasing access to water and sanitation, as we know is expected for us in Article 43 of our Constitution.
Narok Governor Patrick Ole Ntutu has hailed the water sector in the country, saying that water is a crucial tool in the fight against climate change.
Water companies are not just providers of an essential resource, they are also critical stakeholders in the fight against climate change. As guardians of water resources and distribution systems, these companies hold a pivotal role in mitigating the impacts of changing climate.
The 12th edition of Water Companies Sports Association Games brings together all water companies in the country and has been held in partnership with the Narok County Government. Joseph Kess, KUTV.
Now, rogue individuals in Segera location have been warned against invading private properties following a destruction of about 8-kilometer Agriculture Development Corporation Mutura Ranch electric fence in Segera, Laikipia County. Deputy County Commissioner Patrick Mutuli, while issuing a warning to the perpetrators, noted that ADC Mutara, it wasn't Mutura, it's Mutara, was home to wildlife, and destroying the fence was exposing residents to human-wildlife conflict.
The vandals have been issued a warning against encroaching on private property following damage of the 8-kilometer electric fence away at the Agricultural Development Corporation Mutura Ranch in Segera. Speaking at a rally in the Black Tank area of the ward, Laikipia County Deputy Commissioner Patrick Muli termed the action illegal, saying government will boost security to avert future recurrences of similar acts.
Tulikuwa nakuja tuongee na wananchi tuweze kuona jinsi tunaweza simamisha hiyo uhalifu.
The administrator said the ADC Mutara land, which was heavily guarded, was invaded by unknown persons who left a trail of destruction on the vast land. He noted that ADC Mutara was home to wildlife and the destruction of the fence was exposing residents to human wildlife crisis. Muli has indicated that the government will deploy National Reserve soldiers to beef up security.
Tumekubaliana kwamba hakuna mambo ya destruction of the fence, na ile ingine tumeongea mambo kuhusu jinsi security hapa tunaweza improve.
Residents have claimed the insecurity has been occasioned by the government's move to employ people from distant places in the corporation instead of hiring the local residents. Residents now call upon the government to employ local in the Agricultural Development Corporation to prevent the future of crimes. Reporting for KUTV, Cynthia Nderitu.
Right, let's cross our borders now. Colonel Major Amadou Abdrahman, a member of Niger's military junta, has said that transitional government vows to prosecute ousted President Mohamed Bazoum for high treason and undermining national security. While reading out the junta statement, Abdrahman added that Niger's coup leaders denounced the illegal, inhumane and humiliating sanctions imposed by West Africa's ECOWAS regional bloc that are depriving the country of pharmaceutical products, basic foodstuffs, and electricity supplies.
En tout état de cause, le gouvernement nigérien a réuni à ce jour les éléments nécessaires de preuve pour poursuivre devant les instances nationales et internationales compétentes le président déchu et ses complices locaux et étrangers pour haute trahison et atteinte à la sûreté intérieure et extérieure du Niger suite à ses échanges avec les nationaux, des chefs d'État étrangers et des responsables d'organisations internationales. Les autorités nigériennes de transition regrettent cette attitude d'une certaine communauté internationale qui consiste à manifester sa solidarité vis-à-vis de quelques politiciens du régime dessus et en même temps manquer d'empathie envers les populations nigériennes durement éprouvées par les sanctions illégales, inhumaines et humiliantes de la CEDEAO qui vont jusqu'à priver le pays des produits pharmaceutiques, des denrées alimentaires de première nécessité et de fournitures en
That's a francophone word, J-U-N-T-A. I am Anglophone. We are colonized by the British Empire, so I stand corrected that it is junta. So the Niger's junta is what's calling out the ECOWAS economic bloc from interfering with Niger's politics. Let's take a look at a bit of sports now. The leaderboard for the 2023 Kenya Junior Stroke Play Championship changed on the second day of competition, with Michael Kihara taking a stroke lead ahead of Krish Shah, who was the overnight leader after the round one of the play. Kihara had the best score of 73 points in the second round and an improvement by 4 strokes from round one, where he scored 77 points. Krish Shah was consistent with 75 points in round one and 76 points in round two of the competition. Junaid Manji, who is third on the leaderboard, scored identical 79 points in round one and round two for a total of 158. At the beginning of round two, the cut was initially set at plus 47, but when it was lowered to plus 47 at the end of the competition to accommodate the 48 players who proceed to round three today on Tuesday. 74 players were fighting for the 48 places, and with the adjustments in the cut, 49 players made it through after the 5 players tied in position 45 with a score of 47 points.
Yes, so this is one of the tournaments that are part of our Order of Merit, and it's also a world ranking tournament. So the juniors who play 78 and under and are number one get world ranking. points, and for the girls 80 and under get world ranking points. So it's two things. One, it counts towards our order of merit, but secondly, also counts towards world ranking. And this is how our juniors are ranked around the world. It also helps them get scouted through the world rankings. And this is also how we do select our juniors for national duty to participate in our representing Kenya in any of our international tournaments. We have quite a few. We have quite a few. So we have Mikhail Kehara, who's playing really well. We have Shashwat Harish, who's also playing well. Junaid Manji, Chris Shah. We have quite a few. Elvis Mwigwa is on form, has been on form since last year, playing excellent golf. So we have very, very good players in terms of the boys. In terms of the girls, we have Chanel Wangai, we have Belinda Wanjiro, we have Bianca Ngechu, who's also playing well. She's the one who won Nick Faldo. You also have Audrey Goshora, who's also playing really well. So we have some really good talent in terms of the boys and the girls who are playing really well. Nathan Mwangi just won the tournament in Karen, the match play championship there. So we have a lot of talent that's coming through. So I think next year when we're looking at the team, it'll not be automatic for anybody. There's a lot of competition out there, and I think the caliber of golf has really increased in the last 7 months.
Right, that is the Stroke Play Championship. Different strokes for different folks there. And congratulations to all the winners. More in football from Ojwang Mariam ananiambia game kubwa ilichezwa jana. So Manchester United was playing Wolves yesterday and they won 1-0, a very narrow win. But a comment here is that St. Anthony Boys wanaweza lima Chelsea vibaya sana. St. Anthony Boys in Kenya wanaweza lima Chelsea vibaya sana. We finish that in this section of KUTV, the Rise Today's news updates. Going for a short break and then we're coming back. But before that, Ewasco FC are the new FKF Division 2 Northern Zone Pool B League champions after thrashing Dumen Orange with 1-goal win in a fierce derby played at the Dumen grounds in Mbeere South Sub-County. The two teams, however, are yet to participate in the mini league against position 1 and 2 in the Northern Zone Pool A League to seek promotion in the FKF Division 1 League.
Ewasco FC are the new FKF Division 2 Northern Zone Pool B League champions after their 1-0 victory against Damen Orange in the match played at Damen grounds in Mbeere South Sub-County. Newton Weston Jue managed to score his 14th goal of the tournament in the 34th minute. Ewasco FC have garnered 66 points after 30 matches in the league, while Damen Orange are second with 62 points, with Kappa coming third with 57 points.
Tukaongea na mavijana tukasema target yetu hii season acha ikue tupate 60 points, which nafurahia tumeachieve yo +2, which ni plus kwetu tumeacha number 3 na point kama 7 hivi. So ligi ijakuwa rahisi, tumekuwa na challenges.
Ewasco and Damen have now booked themselves a ticket to participate in the mini league against position 1 and 2 in the Northern Zone Pool A Coast Region League to seek promotion in the FKF Division 1 League.
Already tumequalified naenda yo mini league Mombasa, but haijakuwa rahisi. Challenge imekuwa mingi, vijana wamejituma. Hatukuwa na expect kwa hivi, but ndio hii tumewahi, so tuko na furaha sana. Now for the best, eh?
The teams are facing financial challenges that make it difficult for them to travel in full for matches that are far from home. They also complain of officiating problems faced while on the pitch.
Kitu kingine ni fans pia. Tukipata tu wafadhili wanaweza tusaidia juu kiangalia kama hizo games zawe unapata tunaenda watu less sana. Watu kama watu 11 unapata tuende ile timu yenye inatakikana. So far ligi imekuwa poa, tumemalizia vizuri. Sasa tuna focus kwenda main league Mombasa. Na hiyo pia tunatarajia tutachukua. Tumejipanga vizuri, mazoezi pia iko sawa, tunaipiga vizuri.
In the playoffs to be played after 1 month, Ewasco will face Simba Parel FC who finished second, while Damen will face Omax FC who were first. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
Right, that's the end of the updates finally there on KUTV. Rise today's news updates. Make sure that you're following the rest of the broadcasting. KUTV Primetime News comes to you at 9 p.m. And then at 6:30 p.m. earlier, you get Mizizi ya Habari, the Swahili version of those updates. A very big word of grace to the reporters from KUTV. We've been able to go out there and prepare these stories for us. I'm going to take a short break, but I'll be back. Conversations that are happening here in the newspaper review section, of course, the headlines of the day. We are breaking them down into the nitty-gritties to see how they're affecting your day-to-day. However, also a discussion on business. Later, we are speaking to someone who's been literally from grass to grace, from being a boda-boda, a tuk-tuk guy, a matatu driver, born in the inner parts of Kuresoi, and now has risen to start his own insurance firm and also his brokerage firm in terms of real estate. So we are going to learn a few tips here and there. How's he been able to do that with the challenges that he's faced throughout that kind of career path, but also any opportunities for you if you want to get a house, if you want to get insurance. What are some of the things you can do in this kind of economic times? So Ezekiel Waiguru Nganga, popularly known as Ngash, will be joining me in a short while. Don't go too far. Interact with us on social platforms. I will be right back.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Tech Innovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that we are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before,
So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Readiness Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosives.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
Kutoka kuwa jamii ya kuhamahama na sasa kujumuisha kilimo katika mitindo yao ya maisha. Kwenye toleo la kaunti ya Narok, hii ni Boresha Kilimo, kwani afya bora ni kilimo bora.
Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
To the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Terrell.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo umetune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa si vuguvugu. Pepopa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za taarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalunukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
Right, we are speaking business from grass to grace, but also how to build a business empire. If there's something we want to do on Biashara Tuesday, is that these conversations that we have here are a guideline or a footprint in how you can also structure yourself, get yourself from the ground, you know, and build your own empire. Who wouldn't want that, yeah? Watu wanasema, some say they want to be comfortable, some say they wanataka kutoka kwa block, na hiyo tuna dream wote hapa pamoja on Biashara Tuesday. Some want to be comfortable, but recently niliambiwa kuna mwingine anasema anataka kuwa comfortable but in billions, yeah. Kuna wale wanasema, you know, I'm just a reserve guy, I'm a modest guy, just want to be comfortable, my family to be all right, to have a nice house, but in billions, yeah. So we are going to discuss how to get there, but also a small step-by-step journey that we are having here with Ezekiel Waiguru Ng'ang'a. He tells me there is power in a name. So if you notice his two names, I don't have to say much more about them. If you're in Kenya, Ezekiel Waiguru and Ng'ang'a should ring something to you. But he was born in the interior parts of Kure. So he has been able to move from being a matatu driver, a tuk-tuk driver, all the way to have his own company. Two of them actually, is owner and founder of Giles, which is an insurance firm, and also a real estate firm, which is Hearts Home Properties Limited. Let me allow him to introduce himself as well, and then you can get to see his journey, his businesses, but also what are the tips you can get from him in your own journey of creating a business empire. Welcome to the show.
Asante sana Mr. Richard.
Karibu sana tena. Ezekiel Waiguru Ng'ang'a.
Yeah.
Majina hayo mawili kama saizi vile Waiguru na Ng'ang'a ni majina ambayo yameshika sana. Tuta mention ni akina nani, lakini wewe ukisikia hayo majina wewe unasikia namna gani?
Uanga nafurahi na pia Ezekiel from the Bible.
Yes. Oh, Ezekiel, right.
So
yes. Ezekiel from the Bible.
Yeah, there is power in names.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and it's been showing from how wewe umetoka, you know, from doing odd jobs and all the way now you have your own, you know, you're now at the top of your own business and you're running it. Maybe tuanze hapo before tuchukue hiyo journey yote venye ilikuwa. What will be the difference unaweza notice between wewe, you know, vile ulikuwa na put in the work while doing the odd jobs, you know, starting from the bottom and now at the top? Is there a change? Umefika mahali umerelax ama bado, you know, the determination and the strength is still the same?
Ile kitu inakuanga, unajua wakati unabadilisha maisha from one thing kwenda ingine, unatia bidii. Unaona? So hakuna comfort. So wakati unainuliwa from one kutoka mahali pamoja kwenda papili, unatia bidii.
Right.
Na lazima ujitume.
Okay.
Katika maisha hakuna two ways. Lazima ujitume.
Right.
Yeah.
Ukijituma from the beginning, the kind of odd jobs that you are doing, maybe you can tell us what were your initial pay like? Yani ukianza mapema ilikuwa kazi ya aina gani, and then, you know, moving through to now being, you know, a tout, a matatu driver. How was that like, and what were those how did you feel throughout these jobs?
Okay, unajua in life nobody knows about tomorrow. Ile kitu inatoka, umesikia Ezekiel Waiguru Ng'ang'a. Kwanza nianzie nipige intro, si ndio?
Yes.
Ezekiel Waiguru Ng'ang'a is a born again. Mimi nimeoa, niko na bibi na watu, lakini lazima siku hizi useme ya kwamba mke wa kike. Unaona?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lazima ukue specific.
Times have changed.
Yeah, times have changed.
Yes.
So lazima ukue specific. Kutoka Kuresoi, a class 8 dropout. but na nikatoka huko, nimepitia mingi, nimepika hoteli, nimeendesha pikipiki, nimeendesha tuktuk, nimeendesha matatu, nimebeba vitu hivi kwa soko. Wale wananijua, wanajua mahali tumetoka. But hiyo yote haikuzuia to be whom I am today. Unaona, as long as you trust God. Mimi najua ya kwamba ile kitu inakuwa katika maisha, weka Mungu mbele, na huyo tu ndio mtu hawezi kuacha. Unaona, katika maisha kila mtu anaweza kuacha, even your mama anaweza kukuacha, but Mungu hawezi kuacha, wewe ndio unachanga Mungu.
All right. What is the most outstanding job ambayo uliofanya, and what is your memorable experience from it?
Ile job nishaifanya ambapo kila nikiklik hata kiona mtu akifanya ni kupiga kazi na pikipiki. Hiyo ndio nilikuwa naamka saa 9, kulala ni saa 6. Nilikuwa na like 2 hours. Na ile kitu ilikuwa inanisukuma hivyo, ni kujua kwamba background yangu sikuwa na hope, sikuwa na mtu nategemea, it is only God. So hiyo tu ndio nilikuwa nafanya, nasikia kweli napiga kazi.
Okay. All right. The challenges ambazo you're facing at that time, unasema, you know, of course ni trust, of course, and believe in God, but financial challenges here and there, ulikuwa na manage aje your finances throughout this period hadi mahali sasa umefika?
Sasa ile kitu naweza nikakwambia, one thing yenye uanga inatukosea ni ya kwamba unataka kubwa na hauna hiyo. So ile kidogo nilikuwa napata unaipangia. Unaona? Na hiyo ndio imenisaidia kufika hapa. So you must have vision na kuwa focused. Ya kwamba hata nikipiga nipate 500, hiyo 500 naipangia. Na ile kitu pia ilikuwa inanimotivate, ni ya kwamba nikikuja nipige haso yangu vizuri, nikipata kama ni 500 ama 1000, nilikuwa naingia kwa tuchama, ukisikia mahali watu wana invest, juu hiyo tu ndio ilikuwa ilinitoa kwetu ushago. Umesikia nimetoka Molo, mahali vita ilikuwa inachacha. But kitu moja nafurahia na Mungu ni ya kwamba haangaliangi background yako, anaangalianga what is inside you, na vile unajituma na vile unamtrust. So hizo ndio zimenifikisha hapa, na nashukuru Mungu. Na naenda mbali bado.
The transition from, you know, doing odd jobs to starting your own, founding your own insurance firm, which is Girls Insurance, and we'll be getting to it in a short while. Hiyo transition ilikuwa namna gani? Ulijuaje naweza acha kutegemea mtu kunipatia kitu to me creating business and earning pesa yangu hata nikiwa nimelala? Ulimanage aje ku move from that side to the other side of being now a business person?
Unajua ile kitu inakuanga kuna Mungu na kuna connection. Mimi ni mtu sure. Mimi mahali popote nitaishi hii dunia, sitaiacha kuamini Mungu. Na nikiongea pia utakuwa unasikia, hata kwa show zangu unakuja unasikia nikisema kuna Mungu, kuna Mungu. So what happened? Mimi nikipiga, nimeendesha pikipiki, nimeendesha tuktuk, kuna customer wangu nilikuwa nabeba sana nilikuwa na pikipiki. So kuingia kwa tuktuk nikaona pia hiyo hailipi. Nimekuja actually, unaona katika hii safari kuna kuanga na challenges. Na wakati challenges zinakuja kama hauko well equipped na hauko focused, utarudi chini. Juu kama nikikuja kutoka kwa pikipiki kuingia kwa tuktuk, kuna kitu ili arise, nikarudi chini. Nikasema sitarudi kwa pikipiki. Nikakuja kwa tuktuk. Hapo madhi akakuwa mgonjwa, mimi ndio first born na sina baba. Ikabidi mahali alikuja akakuwa mgonjwa, nikauza. Nikaenda kumfanya nini? Kumshughulikia. After that nikajiuliza, kweli nitarudi hapa? So nimeuza, nitarudi tena kuajiriwa, nikaingia kwa mat. But I thank God kwa sababu Biblia inasemanga Mungu alikujua hata before uzaliwe. Ni mtu tu alikuja, huyu alikuwa customer wangu. Akakuja akaniambia, Ezekiel, naona wewe vile unaongea, you can be a marketer. Nikamuuliza, sasa mimi imagine kutransform mtu kutoka odd job kukuja kumweka kwa ofisi. Nikamuuliza, sasa mimi nitakuwa nikikaa kwa ofisi hivi napata riziki? Nikaigino. But kitu naamini Mungu anatumianga njia nyingi sana kukutoa wewe mahali huko. Njia akakuja akaniambia, mimi nataka nikutrain, nikupeleke shule kidogo, nikutrain at least uanze kuuza insurance. Na mimi sikuwa najua ya kwamba hiyo ndio itakuwa turning point yangu. Unaona? Juu nilikuwa nikiuza hivyo bado nilikuwa nafanya brokerage ya mashamba, but sikuwa na zangu. So wakati nilikuja nikaingia, anaitwa Biashara. Wanga namshukuru Mungu sana. Unaona? So mahali yako wako US hizi, Biashara, thank you so much kwa kunishika mkono. So wakati nilikuja nikaingia, akaanza kunitrain. Kitu ya kwanza alikuja akaniambia, nataka ku have coffee na wewe. Nikakuja, mimi ni mtu wa kusikiza sana na unaenda una digest. So siku ya pili akakuja akaniambia, hapana, wewe haufai kuwa hapa. Ananiambia, nataka ufanye hivi, hizo magari unaenda nazo za bosi yako, nataka uniletee insurance. Ongea naye akupatie. Nikaongea naye, nikampatia gari 4. Kutoka kwa gari 4 zikakuwa 8. Nikaanza kuongea na marafiki, akaniambia hivyo ndio inakuanga. Kufika mwisho wa mwezi akanipatia kitu ilikuwa almost 8,000. Nikashindwa, yani ofisi inalipa hivi? Sasa nikataka kupata ile interest. So ndio nikasikiza Makuja tukaingia kanitrain, the rest ni history. But sasa challenge ilikuwa how to get the client. Unajua hakuna kazi inakuanga ngumu kama marketing.
Yes, unaweza piga lap. Unapiga
lap. Kiatu inainama. But as long as unajua your call, as long as unajua uko na goals zako zenye unataka kuachieve, lazima upige. Hiyo isikuje juu utatembea miguu, utatukanwa. Sasa kama hiyo marketing unakuja unasikia insurance zilipi, na nikuongea ukweli, kuna zingine hazilipi, kuna zingine zinalipa, unaona. But hiyo haikuzuii kupiga marketing na watu wajue wewe ni nani na what you can do. Wakati mtu amepata challenge, unamsaidia. Hiyo ndio ilinisaidia kufika mahali niko.
Before we get to sasa wewe kuanzisha your own, which is Giles Insurance, I noticed umesema, she took you under, her wing, akakutrain. Was this through an institute ama hiyo kutraining by kukuingiza kabisa kwa market, alafu wewe yani ni kama ni shule ya maisha, you go and learn there from the market?
So unajua ile what happens, pia yeye alikuwa kazi, mimi nilikuwa namfanyia market, but alikuwa ananiambia guidelines. Unajua kuna zile mtu anakuambia utafanya hivi na hivi, si kwenda shule, ni kusomea huko ndani. So vitu zingine after kuingia ndio unakuja unaona na hapa by the nafaa kusoma. So wewe unajipeleka classes kidogo, alafu unafanya nini? Unakuja field.
Nice. Now eventually Giles Insurance. Nimetafuta Giles kwa jina yako, nione, unajua mostly watu huwa wana combine. So nilikuwa na expect Ezewa Insurance ama Waigunga.
Inakuanga hivi, ukiangalia jina Giles ni Gaels. Mtoto wangu anaitwa Abigail Wajiko. So hapo ndio Giles ikakuja. By then nikianzisha siko na mtoto wa pili. So that's why nilikat jina ndogo juu napenda watoto wangu.
Uka prefer kuchukua mtoto.
Nikachukua Giles. So hapo ndio jina ilitoka.
Nice. That is that's a creative way to do it, and of course ku create legacy. Yeye akigrow pia anajua hii ndio legacy ambayo mzee alikuwa ameacha hapa. Now starting your own Giles Insurance, challenges ilikuwa aina gani? Unajua coming from before you were not in the insurance industry, siati ulienda, as you said there, you've been lucky enough to get where you are after having a dropout earlier in class 8. Getting to set up now your own farm, ni what things will have to learn on the go, yani ile vitu huko unajua hizi ndo nahitajika before mtu ataanzishe biashara.
Sasa unajua with that it happen, kuna kitu inaitwa COP, hiyo certificate of proficiency ya insurance iko nayo. Na sasa wacha niseme biashara inakuanga kama bibi akipata mimba. Unaona? Akipata kanakuwa kadogo hatuoni. But wakati unakuja una grow, inaenda ikisukuma mpaka inatokezea. So hivyo ndio ili happen, na ikakuja ukua pale unakuja unaona unajituma. Na pia when you have a call katika maisha, unaweza kuwa unafanya vitu zingine watu wanaona kama wewe ni mwenda wazimu. But only you yourself, vile unajiamini, hiyo ndio unajua nikienda hii njia. Juu mimi kitu ya kwanza sina godfather, sina mtu wa kuangalia. Mama huwezi enda umuulize. Mama tu nilikuwa namwambia, "Mama, wewe niombe tu, kuna kitu nafikiria," ama namwambia kuna kitu, hata my wife. So kwanza kitu imekuwa imekinisupport sana ni my wife. Amekuwa the pillar of my life. Mahali tumefika ni maombi yake. So mama Shiko mahali yuko, Mungu akubariki sana na uendelee na hiyo moyo. So hizo vitu zote zikifanyika, wakati uko anda mtu hauwezi grow. Umekuja umefika unaona saa hizi naweza jisimamia. So hiyo ndio ilinipush mpaka nikakuja nikafanya nini? Nikaanzisha yangu. But pia kuna watu walinishika mkono. Juu najua binadamu ni binadamu. Ndakusaidia leo, kesho ni kuseme hivi. But hiyo yote haikuzuia kugrow. Juu growth ilikuwa ndani yangu. Na mimi nilikuwa najiamini. Kitu moja nilikuwa najua kwamba one day I'll make it. It may take 20 years or 30 years, but I'll make it. Kwa sababu background yangu, kitu ya kwanza home hatukuwa tumekaa vizuri. Unaona? So mimi ndio nilikuwa tegemeo. Umekuja when you drop out. Unaona? So baada ukuwe na ile hope, unakuja unapata ukikaa hivi ukijihurumia, maisha itakupiga. But kitu ilikuwa inanifurahisha ni ya kwamba nikiamka nifanye hivi nisikie niko poa, hiyo ilikuwa inanipatia courage na inapatia nguvu ya kwenda to the next thing. Na pia kupiga hustle.
Let's get into setting up businesses. Alafu pia we get to hear about Homes Heart Properties Limited. When someone is starting a business like that, coming from being employed or doing odd jobs hapa na pale, inakuwa issue is that there's not enough capital ambayo anaweza anza nayo biashara yake. Ama hata akianzisha itakuwa biashara ndogo, alafu ngangane ishike ama ikatae. How was it like navigating finances za kuanzisha insurance firm and then later of course real estate? Unahitaji pesa mingi ama unahitaji tu kuregister alafu tafuta clients?
Wacha nikufurahisha kitu moja. Watu wanga wana mistake. Kuna kitu inaitangwa copy paste. Hiyo ninaona vile wewe unafanya, mimi nataka nitoke nikue presenter, but how can make it in a single day? Unaona? Na pia ile kitu wanga inakuwa kama maisha ya binadamu. There's this thing we call favor. Mimi sikuwa na do. Mimi sikuwa na hiyo, sitadanganya mbele ya hii kamera. Sitadanganya. Mimi sikuwa na do. But kuna ile unakuja unapatia mtu, kama nikianzisha insurance. Ulikuwa unakuja unaambia mtu nitakufanyia hivi, nitakupatia hivi, kama ni TPO kuna hii advantage, disadvantage, wewe una choose. So ile pesa kidogo unapata pale inaitangwa humble beginning. Hiyo ndio inakuinua. Unaona? Mimi sitadanganya. Nikwambia ati nikikuja hata kuna mahali nienda kukopa do. Si kuanza. So nilipata pesa ile kidogo unapata, unaenda ukimultiply na ikakuja happen hivyo.
Right.
Ile kitu ya maana kabisa ni kujituma. Mtu unakuja nikikupigia marketing, kuja unaona huyu msee ata deliver. Na wakati unanihitaji napatikana. So hiyo ndio imenifikisha hapa, but sitakwambia ati kuna mahali nilienda nikakopa doa manini. Hiyo nitakuwa nadanganya.
Ama kuwa na Godfather, as you said earlier. Ni Mungu na connection, lakini kwa connection ni kama hapo connection yako ni juu.
Godfather huyo tu ndio nilikuwa naye, lakini si huko kwingine.
Okay. Yeah. All right. From insurance, how long ago did you start Giles Insurance?
Giles Insurance nianza in 2015, but since then mimi ni mtu wa kupenda kujaribu new skills. Na unajua mwanabiashara ni mwanabiashara. Na haujuangi until ukuje uone umeanzisha kitu, unasikia by let me tell you. Unajua mtu hajuangi umebarikiwa until watu wanakuambia.
Unakwambia umebarikiwa.
Wanakwambia bro unaenda vizuri, but we hauoni, we unapiga tu haso yako. So insurance nianzisha in 2015. Na hapo acha nikwambie kitu ilinifurahisha. Kuna msemo mwenye alikuwa ameniajiri na mat. Alikuja akaniambia, Ngasha, anaitwa Kala James. Ananiambia, Ngasha, enda upige kazi. Na ukiona kumekauka urudi. But kuna kitu moja aliniambia, na uanzishe mahali watu wanaweza enda wakakuja, wakikutaka watakukuta. Mimi sikuwa nimeanzisha ofisi. So wakati nikuja nikajua kwamba lazima ukue na ofisi. But ofisi si nikaanzisha na kakiti ya plastic na nini. So mtu akikuja unapiga market, unawaambia nipate mahali fulani. Na hiyo ndio ilikuwa turning point ya maisha yangu. So wakati umekuja umeambia mtu nipate mahali fulani, hapo ni kwangu, nikatafuta kasichana. So mimi nikuwa huko marketing, kuna mtu namwambia enda mahali fulani utafanywa hivi na hivi. So hivyo ndio ilianza. Nikaanzisha hapo, nikaanzia ka ofisi, after ofisi. Hiyo ndio nilikuwa na pia na broke mashamba za watu. Nasikia wewe unataka ka plot mahali, mimi najua mahali nitapata. Napata commission yangu. Kuna ingine tunaitanga over and above. Na hizo ndio zikakuja tukicreate.
Na over and above ni gani?
Over and above ni unakuja unaniambia nauza plot yangu mita. Na mimi unajua definitely Kenya ni ile. Hata super unaenda unakuta umeambiwa majani ni shilingi 10, unataka kubagain. So over and above ni hiyo. Mimi yangu nauza mita na kuzia 1.2. Sio 200 ni yako. So hiyo ndio ilikuwa capital yangu. So imenileta mpaka hapa. Plus wakati nilikuwa nikifanya pikipiki na tuktuk, nilikuwa nakuja na venture, nikisikia wewe tunakuuliza ni aje, si tushikane tuanze kitu. Kuna tu groups twingi tulianzisha. Na hizo ndio zilituleta mpaka hapa. Unaona? So tu vitu tuliinvest, nirudi nikakuja nikauza baadaye, nikapata capital. So hivyo ndio pia Homesat Properties Limited ilianza.
What I'm getting from you hapo ni, if you have a big goal to set up a business, unaweza anzisha to several streams to income, alafu siku moja ushikanisha hivi, consolidate them and then put them towards capital ya major goal kama hiyo kuanzisha insurance firm ama real estate.
Yeah, kabisa.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that throughout your journey, even into insurance, one, you were dealing with 1-2 client moja and then you set up a farm. Hiyo ndo ilifanyika also with land. Uliuza hivi moja mbili alafu ukasema hapa pia kuna kampuni hapa.
Sasa wacha nikwambie, unasikianga the ways of our God, it is not like mankind. Unaona? Yani njia za Mungu si kama za binadamu. Pia kuventure into real estate. Kuna sitawataja juu pia ni watu wakubwa. Tumepatana nao, wamekuja wameona, nilipelekwa na mtu. Hapa kuna shamba tunauza, na hii shamba tunauza hivi na hivi. Kaambia ni sawa, tunaweza ona mwenyewe. Juu mimi kitu nimejifunza up to this day, up to now, ni kufanya kitu clean. Biashara chafu ukikuja, unajua pia kama kampuni za mashamba zinakuja zinaosha watu, unasikia unauza. Mimi kwangu ile kitu imenifikisha hapo ni kufanya biashara clean. So nikapelekwa mahali ilikuwa 20 acres. Nikakuja nikaonyeshwa, nikaenda tukajua na wenyewe. Hapo ndio nilianza. Na there is power in confession. Kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa nakuja naambia watu, sasa hiyo sina do, ndio kameanza na kuja naambia watu, hey, hii plot ni yangu, hizi zingine ndio nauza. So the more unazidi kupiga hiyo intro na nini, sikuwa najua mahali nilikuwa naambia watu ni kwangu, saizi ndio nimejenga. Ndio nimejenga. So nikakuja kuamini, na pia mimi ni believer. Na pia mchungaji wangu alikuwa anatuambia, Pastor Peter Mutui mahali yako, alikuwa anatuambia kwamba in life whatever you confess unapata. So mimi nilikuwa nakuja naambia watu, hii plot ni yangu na si yangu. Hata sikuwa na do, ya kununua. But through that journey
nasema mtakuwa neighbors wangu.
So mtakuwa na wasiwasi. Na ikakuja ika happen. So katika maisha ile kitu inatoka, yani ile kitu unapenda sana na uko na passion nayo, it will come to happen. It may take ages, but itakuja ku happen as long as utakaa ukuwa focused. Na upige kazi. Ile kitu pia watu ukosea, unataka maisha mazuri, lazima upige kazi. Unataka gari mzuri, lazima upige kazi. Unaona? Si unataka mambo mazuri lakini unaamka saa 5. Nani?
Hautapata mahali.
Hautapata.
Masaa yako ya kuamka ni saa ngapi?
Mimi huamka from 4:35. Hapo kidogo unapiga zoezi kidogo. By 6 ikifika 6:30 uko poa, unaanza siku. So nyinyi mkiamka saa 1, mimi niko saa 6.
Sio sisi atuamkangi saa 1. Sisi saa 1 huwa tuko hapa live, ready tushaanza shughuli. So how's your day like managing two different companies? On one hand is insurance, on the other hand is real estate. Kuna difference ama zote same skill, same way of how you're running things?
Wakati growth inakuja, you must give room to others to grow. Na uwezi ukafanya hizo vitu peke yako. So mimi kuna vile insurance kuna mtu ana deal nayo, na pia kampuni ya Homesat Properties pia niko na team. So ile kitu inatusaidia, mimi niko pale una oversee. So kuna watu ambao nimeassign kwamba wewe unafanya hivi, wewe unafanya hivi, na kazi inajipa.
All right. Let's talk about insurance. What kind of insurance watu ambao sasa wanataka kujua wakikuja Giles watakuja wapi na wanakuja insurance ya aina gani na gani?
Mimi na deal na motors. Wale wanajua motors, kwa wale hawaelewi, mimi naishua tu magari.
All right. So mtu ako na gari ya kutafute,
wanipige.
Where is that?
Kitengela, tuko pale Kitengela. Ndio tunatoka tuko pale Kitengela opposite Pizza Inn, second floor, inaitwa Marshville Hub. Hapo ndio utatupata.
Being a former tout tukio ni industry ya transport, you must have a lot of clients from back in the days ambazo ni zimekuja kuwa very useful at this moment.
Sure, let me assure you, kutoka hiyo jana yote umekuwa ukimingo na watu. But let me tell you, kama unafikiria utaanzisha kitu marafiki wako wa kusupport, you are wrong my friend. You are wrong. So it is not easy. Kulingana na experience, it is not easy, but kuna wale watakusupport, kuna wale hawatakusupport. But ile kitu mimi wanga naambia mtu, juu hauko unaanzisha kitu usaidiwe na rafiki yako. Depend on God na upige kazi. Hao wengine wanakuja tu.
Right. So the networks throughout the journey naona zimekusaidia, kwa sababu unajua mtu kama yani tout ama mtu ni matatu driver that point or a bodaboda rider, anaweza ona ni kama hii environment ni kama haitamsaidia, but later as an insurance firm unajua unapata hao bado ndio wanataka insurance from you, or bado wanataka land. Right. Let's speak about land. Is it in Kitengela ama pieces zinapatikana wapi na wapi?
Upande wa properties tuko located Kitengela. Mimi nimeventure sana. Unajua mtu anaanza nyumbani alafu unatoka nje. So saizi tuko Kitengela. Ukitaka land tuko Kitengela, tuko yani maeneo ya Kitengela huko ndio utatupata. Tuko na prime plots na zingine ziko nje. So tuna deal na mkulima mdogo hadi mkulima mkubwa.
Na presenter mdogo kama mimi.
Tuko na package yako kama saizi tukianzisha kuna project tunaanzisha maybe hii wiki ya about 400 iko mali. Unajua Friends Ranch?
Friends Ranch, not heard of it yet.
Unaingia kidogo like 5 km from Tamak. Hapo tunauza 400. Tuko na mazabamba bazu 1.35. Tuko na yani ukikuja pale tuko na full package. Hautakosa.
Kweli. Mabazu wale wako behind the camera kama Frank Major Maina 1.2M yake anaweza pata kitu mzuri.
Hiyo anapata mali safi.
Is there development also ama ni land too? Is there development of
development ziko? Sisi wanga tunafanya hivi, tunanunua land, tunakuja tuna add value. Unaona, tuki add value. So wewe ukiingia pale hauna haja kwenda kuangalia kitu kingine juu bado tunafanya pia construction. So kama wewe hutaki mambo ya kusumbua na mafundi na nini, tunakuja tunakutake through, una achieve. Ukisha achieve, kitu ya kwanza ni kupata land. Ukishapata land tunakusaidia vile utafanya nini, utajenga nyumba. Kama unataka kujijengea, it is okay. Kama utaki kusumbua na watu, tunakuja tunakupatia kwamba tuko na this type of houses, hii na cost hivi until you achieve.
All right.
Yeah.
There's one question I have, and since we're speaking about grass to grace, yeah, in the journey from grass to grace, you know, kwa hiyo grass yet inakuanga smooth ukiipanda, yeah. Kuna ma challenges here and there. If you speak to someone who's employed, they'll tell you they're constantly worried about losing a job, you know, and going back to the basics. And you speak to a business person, atakwambia mambo inaweza chemka mahali siku moja, alafu nifunge biashara. Huwezi jua, also with, you know, the tough economic times. Wewe ushavuka hiyo breaking point ya kutokuwa na wasiwasi ile, yani usha settle, unasema kweli sasa we are lifting off, ama bado uko na, you know, putting checks and balances, considering pia, you know, economic times hizi ni tough, a lot of business people wanalia, nasema tunafunga, mambo ni mabaya, mambo ni magumu. How are you able to power through even during those, if you have any of those moments?
Sasa ile kitu nitakwambia, umeniuliza maswali karibu 5 na nitaenda nikijibu moja kwa moja. So umeniuliza swali ya kwanza ya kwamba mtu ameajiriwa unaweza muongelesha aje. Mimi wanga nafurahia sana mtu akiniambia nimechujwa job. Juu hiyo ndio ilikuwa turning point yangu, unaona? Juu wakati umeajiriwa wewe haufikiri ni vile utambua enda hivi. But wakati umechujwa job na uko na hiyo kitu ndani yako, juu biashara ziko, unaona? Ile shida inakuanga ni moja tu, ya kwamba nitaanza wapi. But wakati umekuja umechujua job na umekuja umeanzisha kitu kako, wanga nafurahia sana, kwa sababu hapo ndio ujui kesho yako ndio inafanya nini, inatengenezwa. Na pia saa zingine Mungu husababisha, juu tunakuja tunalia nimechujwa job, yes, chujwa na uanzishe kitu yako. Juu kitu moja, wakati mlango moja imefungwa, Mungu anataka kukupeleka ingine, unaona? So mimi sinanga wasiwasi, niambia mtu ukikuja umechujwa job, there is always a way. Na umechujwa job, utaenda kujiua? Utaenda ufikirie, na wakati unakula kichwa juu, kama mimi saa zingine naweza kuja upate nimejihurumia na kishindwa, now nje imefika hapa, nitafanya nini? But there must be a way. So mwenye ameajiriwa, umeajiriwa ni vizuri, inakupatia riziki, but to make you rich you must have a business. Lazima umeanzisha kitu. Juu salary ni ya maintain, unaona? So about mimi umeniuliza kama nishaikuja nikajipata mahali,
yani ukasema hapa mambo imechemka, nikaa tutarudi kwa mat tena ama
okay, definitely. Mimi nimekuwa mtu mmoja tofauti sana. Juu once nimetoka, umesikia hiyo kazi yote nimekuambia kutoka mahali nimetoka, mimi once nimeenda siangaliangi nyuma. Unaona? Na uanga natumia for example na Biblia. Unaweza kuta utaangalia nyuma hivi ukue chumvi. Unaona? So mimi nikianza kusonga achana
ile imeungua huko.
Ile imeungua, wachana nayo. So na challenges ziko, kama saa hizi kuna crisis, but unajaribu ile kidogo uko nayo ku-maintain ili ukuje upatie, unajua pia uko na staff, wapata kidogo na wewe kidogo, na maisha inasonga. So pia kitu kingine mimi wanga naogopa sana, mimi ama giver. Wale ambao tumekaa karibu na wao wanajua. So wasiwasi yangu inakuanga tu ni moja. Naweza lala ama naweza kosa. Nikose kusaidia. Jumi usaidia. Tuko na foundation, inaitwa Homestart Foundation. Tunasaidia pia mimi personally. Kuna wale watu wanga nasaidia wale wasiojiweza, unaona? So wasiwasi yangu moja tu inakuanga ya kwamba naweza lala nikose ya kupatia huyo. Mimi sina shida. Mimi Mungu amenipatia. Hiyo kidogo niko nayo. But nikilala nitashindwa kupatia yule mwingine. Wale ambao nasaidia, kuna wale wameachwa, wale hawana mama yatima, kuna mama wazee, kuna wale wagonjwa, unaona? So hiyo ndio inakuanga wasiwasi wangu. But mimi kwangu najua wakati umepatia pia Mungu replace. Hivyo ndio mimi niko.
Right. Yeah. Tuna receive here feedback, maybe just nisome real quick alafu ndo tukuje tumalizie hapo. Peter Njenga anasema for sure hard work pays, but more so with God's grace success is guaranteed. Brongash wanakuwatch. Njenga Loimax, so Njenga Loimax. Pauline Wambura watching from Kitengela also. You are always an inspiration. Ni wewe anaambia hapo. Na kama kuna watu ambao wana look up to you sana hapa nje
kabisa, unajua kuna kitu moja inakuanga, unaona mtu wa kawaida, ukienda upate watu wa mata hapa ama upate watu wa pikipiki, unaona tu ni kawaida. But wakati Mungu ameanza kukuinua, wewe ni kama kioo. Unaona? Na mimi wanga naomba Mungu sana anipatie neema. Ukiguza kitu inazaa. ili unatengeneza platform, ujue kuna wale watu watakula juu yako. Unaona? Kuna wale Mungu anajua Mungu akikuinua utasaidia hao. So mimi kwangu wanga tu naomba tu Mungu anipatie favor na wisdom. Akupe juu mimi sinanga, umesikia sina Godfather. Ni yeye tu aliye juu.
Ni Father God.
Yeah, tu Father God.
Kweli.
Yeah.
All right. Njoroge watching from Kitengela, also really inspiring. Joseph Mutu anasema you do motivate many. Big up Mr. Director. Diana Wanjiru also watching. An inspiration to many. Big up Sir Benson Maina. Congratulations my brother. Keep going. There are more feedback is coming in. I'll be reading it as we wrap up now. For a young person ambayo anakuangalia, you know we are based within an institution ambayo ina carry a lot of young people and also the show watu ambao wana watch ni ile age bracket. Last week nilikuwa nasoma statistics hapa. Wanasema the most number of unemployed people ambayo ni kama 1.7 million sai Kenya ni between the age of 20 and 29. Yeah, and these are the people who watch this show. When I bring entrepreneurs here wanasema hao ni watu washa make it. Tusiambie kuhusu watu washa make it. Tunataka watu ambao ni for lack of a better word ni hustlers. Yani watu ambao wana hustle. Ongelesha hawa vijana on how to ensure that you're still on the path. Kuna hiyo give up inakuja ukitokea ukiwa kijana unasema hii imeenda hii. So speak to a young person there who's trying to start a business, who's trying to keep on his journey towards building a business empire, which is the discussion we've been having here.
So ile kitu mimi nitawaambia you young mwenye uko hapo, remember kuna kitu inasemanga birds of the same feathers flocks together. Na maisha it is choices that you make. Hizo ndio zinakuja baadaye. So ile kitu mimi wanga naambia mtu, si lazima saizi niko hapa TV KUTV, si ndio?
Right.
But kuna wakati ningetajua mambo ya KUTV ama wapi, niambia mtu siwezi make it. But mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa naamini mimi mwenyewe one day I'll make it. It may take ages. So hata wewe mwenye uko shule, unaona? Wewe uko shule ile kidogo, unajua hata Musa alikuja akaulizwa na Mungu, who do you have nikubariki?
Right.
So wewe niko tu na fimbo.
Anza nayo.
Imagine anza nayo. So wewe na wewe uko hapo, uko na nini? So ile kitu nitakwambia, inaweza onekana kama ni impossible vile umesema ya kwamba wanasema umeleta watu wame make it. But sikiza mtu na have goals. Unaona? Hakuna kitu inakujanga ati kwa sahani unaletewa hivi. You master something. Hiyo kidogo uko nao na unaamini. Na usiwahi sikiza mtu yoyote. Si unajua mimi naenda hivi, kama unatoka hapo unaenda Mlolongo ama unaenda Nairobi, ingia matatu enda Nairobi. So zenye utapatana na bumps, utapatana na traffic, utapatana na nini, na pia katika maisha hii ya biashara, katika maisha yako utapatana hizo vitu zote. Utakutana watu watakudiscourage, marafiki zako watakwambia hauwezi make it, na hizo vitu zote zita happen. But as long as una trust God, mimi kitu sijai sahau ni Mungu juu mimi najua nimeona akinitendea. Na wanga naambia watu kama hajai kutendea, wanga naambia hata my team wanga nawaambia kama hauna imani shikilia yangu tusonge. Unaona? So mimi wanga naambia watu whatever you do, it may seem inaweza kuwa ndogo saa hizi, inaitwa humble beginning, but itakuwa kubwa baadaye. So usi give up. There is hope, but you must start somewhere. Unasema unataka ku make it, unaamka saa 3. Sisi tushagawana inchi tumeenda. So lazima na pia ile kitu nimekuja kurealize pia katika maisha. Your friends, unaona your friends, they influence you a lot.
Okay.
So katika maisha wewe ambao unataka kuanzisha, know your friends, kwanza jiconnect na Mungu. Know your friends na your goals na utaenda mbali.
Right.
Hizo tu ndio vitu nitawaambia.
All right, we're coming back to do the final thing ambayo ni since you've been in a marketing space technically your whole pathway, tutakuja market guys na pia market home hearts property. As I read some of the feedback ambayo bado tumepata hapa. Dennis Kairithia, I'm watching from Kitengela. Watu wa Kitengela leo umewaamsha. Leo amki saa 5.
Hawezi pata, lazima waamke. Ezekiel Nganga yuko live.
Kweli. Davy Murunyu, congratulations. Faith Ndungu also watching from Kitengela, keep soaring high. Mr. Ezekiel. Carol Mutuko also saying great work Mr. Director. Mwangi Thuita, keep rising bro. Jen Muinde, big up Mr. Nganga watching from Upper Hill, Nairobi. Say hi to the people of Upper Hill. And also Agnes Waweru, sema also wow Mr. Director. Wanakuita Mr. Director. So unajulikana kama director at the insurance firm ama kama CEO?
Sasa wacha niambie, unajua hizi ni titles tu. Lakini unaona mtu akikuita director unakubali, juu mimi ndio tulianzisha na pia uanga nafurahia sana. Na uanga nafurahia sana. So jina director
ni sawa.
Inaleta ka satisfaction.
Title yote wanakupatia hadi title deed uko nayo.
Zote. Na sasa nataka pia tugawane hizi title. Mimi ni wagaia title deeds, unaona? Wanakuja tunawapatia covers.
Kweli.
Yeah.
All right. This is a chance since tushaanza kuiongelelea. We talk a little bit about Giles Insurance and also about Home Hearts Properties for potential clients, partners, whoever you want to sell it to. This is your chance.
So nipige marketing.
Yeah, pige.
So guys, mahali mnatuwatch, huyu ni Ezekiel Ng'ang'a kutoka Home Hearts Properties Limited. Wenye wananijua, wenye hawanijui, tuko pale Kitengela, Marshville Hub, second floor. Ukitaka property legit, ukitaka shamba, ukitaka nyumba, you just call 0793 655 655. So ukiniona mimi uone ya kwamba umepata kenye unaangalia. So tupigie, tuko na plots KAG Kitengela ndani. Wewe unataka residential, unataka commercial, unataka vitu tunaitanga zile project tunasemanga ya kwamba ni circulation, kuliko uweke pesa bank. By the way, mimi sikangi pesa bank. Mimi hutumia pesa za bank.
Acha tumeshinda tukisema hivyo kwa issue.
Mimi wacha nikwambie, the worst mistake you can do ni unachukua ati unaenda kusave. Nini?
Na save nini?
Enda uchukue za wale wana save utumie. So wewe ambao unataka kujua mambo na investment, just call 0793 655 655. Hapo utanipata na tutakusaidia.
Asante sana. Finally, the final round of comments zinakuja in na sitaki kufungia mtu before I go for a break. Nicholas Langat, great work director. Monica Njoki saying hi to Ngash from Monix. His sister, this is your sister.
Yeah, that is my sister. Nampenda sana.
Nice.
Yeah, nikiwaona uanga nafurahia sana. Tumetoka mbali.
Right. Wishing him the very best above all the blessings. Agatha Muthoni, much blessings my brother.
Yes.
Gadiel Kilakoi.
Yes.
Greatest of all time. Keep pushing on, bro.
Yes.
And finally Esther Nderetu, congratulations Mr. Ng'ang'a. There are more comments coming in. I'll read them after the show. Waambie ukitoka on air pia wasiende na wewe. Wabaki na sisi tuendelee kuongea mambo ya biashara.
Guys, tukimaliza show, hivyo tu vile mnatuwatch, hivyo vile tu mna comment, tunataka mkuje tu invest. Tunataka kesho yetu ibadilike. Unaona? So, karibuni sana na wale ambao mnatuwatch dunia mzima. By the way, sisi tunawatchiwa dunia mzima. Hatuko tu hapa. A boy from Kuresoi amefika hapa na anawakilisha, anapiga biashara ambao ni legit. Anataka tubadilishe mahustlers.
Unaona? Na next generation of
kabisa. Yeah, remember me wanga nasema sky is the limit. So tukitoka kwa show pia mtufuate hivyo. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming through.
Asante.
I wish to endelea continued engagement and also to inspire more young people who are watching this show.
Yeah.
Right.
Asante.
Taking that short break on Biashara Tuesday, it's been exciting to have this conversation with Ezekiel Waiguru Ng'ang'a. We'll upload that conversation on YouTube on KUTV Kenya. So kama umemiss na umefika late, you've missed a lot, but utapata link baadaye. So make sure that you're checking us out on social media. Let me take a breather, nikunywe nione kama nitaacha kuitwa kiongozi, chairman, na nipewe title ya ukweli ambayo ni title deed, si ndio?
Remember, nimekwambia kitu moja, wale ambaye your friends na wale watu unatembea nao, you become them. So wakati umesalimiwa na Ezekiel Ng'ang'a, up the blessing,
Ezekiel Ng'ang'a.
Ezekiel Ng'ang'a,
Ushakuwa CEO na founder.
Kabisa.
I'll be right back.
Amen.
Focus on Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping, and support. So join me, Bari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
possessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
Biashara told me something that is deeply shocking about Dad.
Geoffrey, you're under arrest for attempted kidnap.
What I am most concerned about is who is feeding you such lies, Mr. Inspector.
Our affair has gone on far enough, and I'm telling you, I want it to end right now.
We have a lot of guns here. If you want to stay alive, come on with your hands up. You have a choice.
I suggest you use your fists because your words are weak.
Oh, darling.
Kenya, this is my jam down.
I said, man, I will never give up. Na hata nikisota
Everybody wanna feel like me.
yours is like a river.
Real thing, if I never mama, I wouldn't believe it.
Hear me when I say just like
You know, reggae music wasn't the most popular music in my neighborhood growing up. And I discovered it on the radio, and from the first moment, just couldn't stop listening.
Many people express themselves through music.
Music is a freedom of expression.
We want the music to reach the people.
They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. Traffic all I bring from the beginning. I gave you my heart right from the start. Don't break it, Maria. I gave you my heart right from the start. Don't break it. Wanna be my I'm an African.
So when you are sad and you listen to this song makes you happy, feel encouraged. The song gives you hope for a bright future.
Message the world.
All talent, there's always room for improvement.
To have faith.
We can be lazy and wait until it's over, or work hard and, try to be ready whenever there is something to do. We can just be on point.
So we need to join hands and realize that together we can achieve.
For John so loved this world now, he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever will believeth in him should not perish but live. God did not send his Son to come free, condemn this world, but through him this world might be saved. Oh, my children, give me
Kaka mtazamaji, popote ulipo, unapokuwa ukitazama Safina Show
inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we are losing.
The level we need to go is a level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found, because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Adventures across the African continent.
See breathtaking wildlife, stunning landscapes,
and out of this world technologies.
Meet incredible scientists
and learn fantastic facts.
Explore, discover, be amazed.
Be part of the next generation of African change makers.
Be a part of ENGEN, Africa's #1 science discovery program. Yay!
We're learning every day.
Biashara Tuesday has been live from 7 in the morning. If you're joining us, tumeambiwa hapa na Ezekiel Waiguru Ng'ang'a, wache kulala, hii masaa tushagawana nchi. Now we are heading out to making money. Na wewe ndo unachangamka. But I hope I'm not making you tune away from Biashara Tuesday. Please stay with us and welcome. If you're joining us for the first time, let us know where you're tuning in from. This morning, the MVPs have been from Kitengela. I have received an overwhelming number of comments from people watching all the way, and the show has been exciting for them. We just had a discussion with Ezekiel Waiguru Ng'ang'a, who is an entrepreneur, who is an owner and founder of his own 2 companies, which is insurance and one is real estate. Giles Insurance, and the other one is Hearts Home Properties Limited. So you can check him out on his social media, but also visit him huko Kitengela. Utaweza kumpata Ezekiel Ng'ang'a Waiguru. Reach out to us if you want land, if you want insurance for motor vehicles, and if you want any piece of land in the sides of Kitengela, we will connect you effectively to Ezekiel. That conversation utaipata on YouTube, KUTV Kenya, a bit later. Now, I'm going to bring a journalist. We are having a conversation here with Joseph Kess. Before, I used to say Keys. He'll tell us why there's a missing of a Y. Should be K-E-Y-S, but it's Joseph Kess, K-E-E-S. He's a journalist with us here at KUTV. He's also a news anchor, so very well versed in matters of what is developing in the country. We have the newspapers with us, the Daily Nation, the Business Daily, and the Standard. It's what we are going to go through, but also informing ourselves of any other happenings which might not have been highlighted here, but of course do contribute to the stories that have been prioritized, but also the direction that business and the economy is going to take in the next few days. I'm going for a short break, take a cup of water, come back with Joseph Kess. Don't go far. Now, Before we begin with the newspaper review, Kenyatta University, and we have a story from Kenyatta University here on Women's Economic Empowerment Hub, which is popularly referred to as the KUTV Hub. Now it has joined forces with the Women Empowerment Link, WEL organization, to champion women's rights. This is after discovering some of the challenges women encounter economically, as well as in leadership and governance. Join Caroline Kimwele now as she takes you through their journey of research in Bomet County.
Kenyatta University Women's Economic Empowerment Hub, popularly known as KUTV Hub, was started 3 years ago to help in incorporating women in several matters such as in decision making, as well as empowering them economically and development-wise. Kenyatta University received a research grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to establish a center whose purpose is to provide evidence to advance women's economic empowerment in Kenya. This evidence will be used by people and organizations that want to improve women, that is, stakeholders such as policymakers, professionals, researchers, national and county governments, non-governmental organizations, and development partners.
Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub is advocates for women empowerment through evidence-based research that informs policy. And that's why the hub was formed. Kenyatta University, being an academic and research institution, was through a competitive bidding, was given a grant, a 5-year grant by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And this grant had those many projects, about 10 or 11 projects. So, and mine was one of them. So we wrote proposals, then we consolidated those proposals, and we had one major proposal for Kenyatta University under We Hub. And so we won the bid. And after winning the bid, then of course the money was released and we started embarking on conducting research in various aspects of women economic empowerment, research that could inform policy, so that the end result of our findings will be to disseminate those findings to the various stakeholders that are of interest. And after that, we also give policy recommendations, and we could even go a step further by developing policy briefs that we sell to the county or national government.
After discovering the gaps left in empowering women in the society, and also discovering that only a small percentage of women are involved in leadership, this leadership and governance project, led by Professor David Minja, who is the principal investigator, took on the responsibility of conducting research in Bomet County so as to bring about positive change in the lives of women.
In my project, it is very county specific. County specific. So once we finish our research with a certain county, like Bomet now, and we do our report, we go back to that county and organize stakeholders workshop, a validation workshop, which also serves as a workshop for communicating the evidence that we found so that it can inform policy in that particular county. And that's why we are here today. So this week we have been in Bomet, just disseminating that information. Yesterday we were dealing with the CBUs that we dealt with, because our entry point is an NGO called Women Empowerment Link. Women Empowerment Link is operating in Kenya, various parts of Kenya. And Women Empowerment Link wants to understand how their project has impacted women economic empowerment countrywide. So when we developed this proposal, we approached Women Empowerment Link and said, we want to see whether what you are doing is actually impacting on the lives of women in terms of economic and political and governance processes.
The success of this research was achieved by some of the lecturers at Kenyatta University in collaboration with the Women Empowerment Link, WELL, which is a non-governmental organization. These lecturers included Professor David Minja, who is the principal investigator, Professor Elishiba Kimani, the deputy principal investigator, Dr. Edna Moy, Dr. Jackson Mdoe, Dr. Hilda Mahamara, including the WELL representative Julian Ngoiri. According to the researchers' review, WELL imparted Bomet women with different skills, including how to invest in groups, how to make better judgments, how to be better leaders in the family and government, life skills, financial and business skills, and how to represent their opinions and suggestions in the society, among other skills. Selina Rono is a grocery trader. She explains how she has benefited from the WELL project.
Kama hao wametufundisha WELL, tulikuja sasa kuwafunza hata wewe unaweza simama. Hata wewe unaweza simama, you are capable. You are capable. Wewe unasimama, hakuna unafikiria wako na nini? Hata sisi tuko na uwezo, tutaenda. Na watu walisimama nani? Walisimama, tulikuwa napigania mwingine MC alikosa, alipata namba 2. Mwanamke.
Albina Ruto is another beneficiary. She has been a widow for 30 years now. She explains how WELL organization trained her on the effects of female genital mutilation and on the importance of saving. Albina has a daughter living with disability who is also a mother of 3. She admits that after her daughter got married, her husband became violent to a point of beating her. But the training on gender-based violence from WELL organization helped them, and the hostile husband changed into a better husband.
We were trained with WELL jinsi ya kufanya biashara na kuweka akiba, sio ya kufanya biashara na kukula. Unafanya biashara ya kusave kitu kidogo. So tumeanza kwa hiyo group wenye tulifunzwa na WELL, tukajua maana ya savings. So tunaendelea kusave hiyo pesa. Alafu on the first place tulianzia hiyo group kufanya chama merry-go-round ili tusaidie watoto ya form 1s. Tulianzia watoto wa form 1s kuwasaidia kusanyia pesa ya merry-go-round, alafu wachisaidie nao. Baadaye venye form 1s waliendanga shule, tukaanza sisi kusave pesa na tukaendelea na hiyo merry-go-round. Wenye hawana watoto ya form 1s wanachukua hiyo loan kufanyia biashara, not loan, hiyo merry-go-round kufanyia biashara.
WELL imetufundisha vile tuna save pesa na vile tunaomba. Unaomba pesa kulingana na biashara yako. Na vile ukipewa hiyo pesa inafaa uchipange uweke kwa biashara. Walitufundisha hivi, hakuna haja uombe pesa labda upewe 50,000 na we mama mboga ukuje ujifalie naye. Walitufundisha tukikupea pesa vile tunafanya biashara, vile unaweka biashara kabisa mpaka unawiri, vile unarudisha.
A few kilometers away from Albina's home, we meet Priscilla Kamoying, who narrates that after being empowered, she is now a successful farmer. She says her husband has embraced her work after seeing the benefits of the project, especially in the family and society.
Sasa luku kwa leadership, tuseme kwa group, lazima usikie decision ya kila mtu, sio wewe unapitisha tu. Sasa nimeanza kujua mingi vile mimi nakaa tu wanaanza kusema kitu na kudecide.
Later, after their research, the Kenyatta University researchers met other stakeholders and presented their results and evaluation of the research.
I've got other leadership positions yenye nimepata. Nimekuwa leader wa my community based organization yenye niko. I'm the treasurer. And above, apart from me, niko na wanawake wengine wenye I've been sensitizing with, together with my other TOTs, wenye wamekuwa na hiyo leadership positions. Like for example, I've got almost 3 women wenye wamepata, mmoja ako saizi chair wa athletic, a sports organization, mwingine ako chair wa dispensary. Unaona, yenye ilikuwa kitambo ilikuwa very hard kupata kwamba ni wanawake wana lead hizo positions.
According to their assessment, most of the women in Bomet County have joined investment groups of between 20 and 30 people. Men have also volunteered to be part of some of those groups and provide support when needed to.
At the beginning, in our initial findings, we found there was a gap in the sense that women were being given all this skill and the men were being left behind. And when we went to collect data and interview community members, even the men said, we would want to be involved in this training. We would want to get these skills so that we support our women with understanding. And I found that to be very positive. They were not feeling threatened, but they were saying, if only we also got this kind of knowledge, governance, leadership, they have not been trained by anybody, we would support our women to be MCAs, we would support our women to be MPs, we would support our women to be governors and everything else that they would want to achieve.
However, a call has been made to stakeholders, experts and policy makers to involve the leadership of Bomet County government in implementing the agenda of empowering women in leadership. Caroline Kimwele, KUTV.
We are tuned in live with Stona Njuguna and the Nobility House team watching from Gesha. That's Jessica Motho who's watching from Gesha again, and they're tuning in with Stona Njuguna. Pass our regards to my producer Ngure and Mr. Maish umesalimiwa hapo, and the rest of the crew. Shout out also to the rest of the crew. Munanibamba sana. We are keeping it locked. Shouting out to Karen Blessing and also to Juan Morin. So those are statements from Jessica Motho, who's been tuning into Biashara Tuesday. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the show. We are now heading towards the newspaper review section. We have the Business Daily, the Daily Nation, and the Standard, which are also, this is a segment that Jessica Motho has been on before. So if you can send us your feedback, mzee hapo, your comment on what we are going to discuss here will be very valued. Ecclesiastes 1 chapter 9, and I'm sure you're going to love this, Jesse, me quoting from the Bible. What was will be again. What has been done will be done again, and there's nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:9. What was will be again. What has been done will be done again, and there is nothing new under the sun. That's speaking on the state of leadership and governance in the Republic, and it's from the pull-out opinion piece here on the Business Daily by Frederick Ogola. He's saying that beyond the Finance Act, the cost of living has risen exponentially, so much so that the opposition has taken advantage of it. We're going to take a look at exactly how it is he feels the opposition has taken advantage of it, but also if Joseph Kess, who's joining me on this show, shares the same sentiments. There, a priority is the new taxes, which have pushed cars beyond the reach of more Kenyans. Actual car taxes have jumped 14.69% on average. Taxes are outpacing the 10% import duty. And there on the left is squeezed a story on Safaricom's new limit, 500,000 from 300,000, which was the limit before. Wakenya wanasema hata iwasaidi Wakenya fulani. Some of the comments I'll be reading here saying hata hiyo limit ya 300,000 which was there before hata hakuwahi hit. Now there's a new one ya 500,000. So you can have as much as 500,000 in your account in a day, and 150,000 per transaction is the limit per one transaction. So you can't send more than 150k, and you can't have more than 500k, half a mil in your bank, in your M-Pesa account. That's a warning actually to banks, yeah, because now people can use M-Pesa's platform as a banking platform more, which is a more accessible, more transactions can be done there. I'm curious to see how banks react to this, given that CBK is seeking regulation of M-Pesa as a bank. So normal banking regulations will be applied to all the transactions or to all the operations of M-Pesa. That's what is there on the Business Daily. On the Daily Nation, there's a jobs scandal which is hitting the government. 2 tribes are getting nearly 60% of KRA's slots. Members of Parliament are furious that KRA hired 788 out of 1,400 KRA assistants were only from 2 communities. There's more from an audit report which is now revealing how state agencies are violating the law by employing more staff, which is adding to that wage bill burden that the country is facing. If you add that to the looting of public funds, true salaries for ghost workers, and Anti-Corruption Commission here report is showing that counties without set staff ceilings are on a hiring spree as well. So there are more hiring which are happening in these devolved units. There's MPs who are furious because there are only 2 tribes which are getting majority of the slots, and the public wage bill is crossing the 1 trillion mark as of last June, eating into nearly half of the nation's revenue, and the crisis will worsen due to theft, corruption, and bad hiring practices. Yani, half of the money of the revenue that KRA is collecting is being used towards wage bills, kulipa salaries za ghost workers na inflated salaries. That's what the job scandal story is there on the Daily Nation. And I'll allow my colleague here from KUTV, Joseph Kess, to introduce himself, but starting with what is on the headline of the Standard, and then I'll allow him to give a brief introduction before we get into the review. What do we have there, Kess?
Right, Richard, first of all, let me say thank you so much for having me today. It is really great being on Biashara Tuesday for the very first time.
Glad to have you, man.
Thank you so much, and shout out as well to our producer, Mr. Ryan, for having me here today. Yeah, it is great being here. There is a devolution, of course, the moment of truth for Kenyans. The national and county leadership are converging Eldoret to take stock of 10 years of devolved governments. And, of course, it has been 10 years since devolution came into place, of course, following the promulgation of the new constitution in the year 2010. And of course, there are successes, failures, opportunities, and big lessons.
Hits and misses.
Yeah, of course, associated with devolution. So we'll be having that conference, of course, in Eldoret. Yeah,
in Uasin County.
Yeah,
we're going to take a look at those hits and misses with you in a short while, Kes. I'm just going to allow you first to introduce yourself to people who are seeing you on my show for the first time. I said you're a colleague here, but do the rightful introduction as you wish.
All right. So my name is Joseph Kess. I am a journalist here at KUTV. I am a news producer. I also anchor news on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Primetime news.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they check out Wednesday, 9 p.m., you'll see Malek Joseph Kess there delivering you the happenings across the country and beyond our borders. Kess, I don't know what's the most exciting headline for you. If it's the Standard that you're holding, we can start with it, or the job scandal on the Daily Nation, or the new taxes of the Business Daily. Which one do you fancy this morning? As a producer, as a news producer yourself, I'm sure you've judged the kind of work the editor has done. So, which one which editor will you retain in the newsroom here on these headlines?
All right. There's a lot happening in the country, and of course we have the devolution that I've just spoken about. Of course, taking stock of devolution for the last 10 years. I think that must be, a great thing to talk about. Yeah, because, it concerns every Kenyan. Devolution, as it really worked. What are the hits and misses, as you said earlier on.
Right.
And of course, there is the second round of the bipartisan talks, which was kick-started yesterday. Of course, we are waiting to see, will it really work? Is it the remedy? I mean, is it really the solution to, the differences between the opposition and the government, is it really going to work? That is what every Kenyan is anxious to see. So,
President William Ruto is also expected to join that conference today with his deputy, who will close it on Friday. And he had a busy day yesterday, according to a report here on the Daily Nation. He had a busy day yesterday working from Eldoret, where he already is after flying in from Uganda, meeting several leaders, sessions on, ahead of this devolution conference, to take a look at what kind of service has been delivered across the county. There are three things I have to note, and one is there's been a constant friction. There's been constant friction between the national government and the county governments when it comes to revenue allocation. We've seen the delaying of salaries. We've seen, some complaints saying, County X is not receiving what it should be receiving as compared to County X or County Y, in terms of maybe geographical position, unique challenges during the cases of famine and drought, which was affecting other counties differently from how it was affecting others. When we move from that, county revenue allocation, we have other dockets which were devolved from health to agriculture and others in between. So we have to take stock as well of, what has been going on there. We've seen complaints from doctors. There's been a threat of doctor strikes in Embu, Meru, medical interns not being paid here and there. But not just the ills. Of course, there are good things that we can get to point out. The agriculture sector will also devolved, and we have to take a look. Are we anticipating a bumper harvest or not? And at the moment, we have a couple of issues, which are going to be tabled here in this devolution conference. The question that will be at the priority of all of them is, have we done well with the devolution, or have we not? Having covered a couple of these stories and taking a stock, of course, of all the various issues, first of all, is devolution a hit or is it a miss?
Okay, I would say both. Devolution, since it came into place, I must say that it has worked to some extent. Of course, before the promulgation of the Constitution in 2010, the county government, the national government had all these tasks, so, it was quite burdensome, which is actually the reason why, those who came up with this constitution really saw the need to, devolve some of these functions, and, to bring in place the county governments, to assist the national government, of course, to, make sure that services are distributed to all parts of the country.
Right.
So I would say that devolution has worked to some extent. Of course, we have seen infrastructure has, been developed, the construction of roads. And of course, it has worked to some extent, really. And but we have also seen some, misses associated with it. Of course, we've seen doctors saying, the salaries are not being paid in time. Of course, health is one of the devolved functions. Salaries have not been paid on time. Why don't we take it back to, the national government, such that we get salaries directly from the national government, because of the delays that have been there since this function was devolved. So we have seen several misses as well. So it has worked to some extent.
Even when it comes to leadership, we take a look at counties like Kiambu County. In the last time, there was a time, it's a long period without a governor, where we could do without a deputy governor. You come to Nairobi County, we had a case where, sometimes you don't have a governor for a long time, sometimes you don't have a deputy governor, and you can survive for a year plus or some more. You go over to Siaya County, there's been friction between the deputy governor and the governor who took steps to, bring a motion over to the Senate for impeachment. When you take a look at leadership, when we speak about services, devolving of functions, it also takes a stock on leadership, the kind of leadership that's available there in the county. Is there confidence that we have sort of mini presidents and mini governments which are actually doing governance in the path or in the guidelines that devolution was supposed to, or devolution had envisioned?
Of course, there is an issue you've spoken about, the friction between, governors and their bosses. I mean the governors and their, the deputies. These issues have been there, and to some extent, it has affected the way their delivery of services. I remember it started with Nairobi County government during the leadership of the former governor. Yeah, that is when it started, and we've also seen the rivalry, the recent one in the Siaya County government between Governor Orengo and his deputy Odwal. Well, I would say that this came into place since the devolution came into place, and to some extent it has affected the delivery of services, but there is a lot to be done.
Right. Here in agriculture in 2022, saying that the top 3 exports from Kenya were tea, horticulture and coffee, earning the country 353 billion. This was a 44% increase from 2015. So this is how the devolution of agriculture has enabled the empowerment of farmers, the distribution of resources and the access to market. While Kenya is not exporting as much in terms of other farm produce, there's been more in others like avocado and horticulture and coffee. So it has made horticulture and fruit to be one of the fastest growing, doubling capacity every single 5 years. So there are those which are working like agriculture and health there. The question is, should some of these functions be taken back to the national government, given that maybe half of it is effective and half isn't? Is there a need to also look back at the devolution, as we always do with the constitution, amend laws here and there? Should we take a look and also change? Maybe there's something that the national government has been struggling with. We switch it back to the counties and switch back the rest to the national government, or should we just steady on, wait to see the fruits finally maybe sometime in the future?
Well, the constitution is still undergoing amendment. When it was promulgated in 2010, that was not the final copy, still undergoing amendment. But on the issue of agriculture, for instance, I would say, I think it is really working, because take a look, for instance, at the distribution of fertilizers by the government, the subsidized fertilizers. The county governments have been, very imperative in as much as, making this function easy. And you had the president, allow me just to, stick a little bit to matters of fertilizers. The president, not long ago, while addressing, the press in state, I would say that, the government, is working, the national government is cooperating with the county governments to establish, the distribution centers for fertilizers, for instance, and to ensure that it reaches farmers easily, you see.
Right.
So I think in as much as, such a role, for instance, a function, like the distribution of fertilizers is concerned, I think, county governments are really, very important. And, as far as ensuring that, ensuring timely distribution of fertilizers or any other subsidized, products to farmers, are delivered on time. That is just an example to tell you that county governments are really, important in that sector, in the sector of agriculture. So for agriculture, to some extent, I would say, devolution is working.
Service delivery there, job creation has happened, enhanced local governance as well. We have now leadership closer to the people, and resource allocation, as you have mentioned there. When it comes to public participation, has there been improved, from your outlook as well, has there been improved access to the government from the Mwananchi? Now that we have an MCA right at the ground, is there a feeling that, you're now getting to the leadership easier than before, or how does that citizen engagement and participation look like at this point compared to 10 years ago from your angle?
Well, it is also important to remember that, we had municipal, kind of leadership before the constitution came into place. We had councillors, if you remember.
Yes.
I don't think really there is a difference between councillors
MC and a councillor
the current
back then, yes.
MCAs. So I would say to some extent, okay, there is a difference, of course, because we have the county governments. I think municipalities, municipal leaderships, back then were not as effective as the, county governments. The county government is literally the national government, being brought closer.
Okay.
So I would say that it has really increased, it has really, brought the services closer, and it has, increased the interaction between the citizen and the government.
Right.
Yeah.
Citizen participation there. We'll get to see if that's what the governors are agreeing with when they finish this conference on Friday, where Ruto and DP Gachagua are going to be addressing a couple of issues, but also taking stock of what has happened in 10 years. And this is just 1 year after the election results of the electioneering period of 2022, and now it's been 1 year, all around 1 year since the Kenya Kwanza government came into power, and now we're back to Bomas. There are talks, and which is a story also which is there on the Daily Nation and the Standard, the bipartisan talks between the government and the opposition technical teams, which have now been tasked to draw up dialogue teams' agenda. The four-man team on both sides, led by Azimio's side by Kalonzo Musyoka, who's the former vice president, and also Kimani Ichung'wah, the majority leader, National Assembly. At this point, there's disagreement over the talks and over the agenda to be put on the table. We saw the same thing during the first round. I think we have almost forgotten there was a first round of bipartisan talks earlier in the year, in around May, June, which was suspended. We went back to the streets, and now we're back for another round of these talks, and they still cannot agree on the agenda. Is there any hopes of this being now the successful round of these bipartisan talks, Kes?
Well, let me start by saying that we witnessed the handshake in the former government between the opposition, of course, and the government side. I don't think really it was as complicated as it is right now. Remember, we had the first round of the bipartisan talks, which didn't end well. I mean, it wasn't. I don't really think it was successful. Yeah. So this is just the second round. I mean, how are things going to change really? We've seen this kind of, okay, maybe a Kenyan was not expecting this thing to be delayed. Maybe Kenyans were thinking these talks are going to happen in just a day or two, and the both sides agree. But now we see the establishment of of course the technical teams, and you see these talks again happen a day a week. They started on Wednesday. It is Monday again this week. Monday next week. There's sort of a delay.
But there's an ultimatum from Raila saying, if we get to the end of August and there's no deliberations, we are taking other means of trying to address this issue. Is this a game being played in your opinion? As you mentioned there, it's just one talk a week, and at the same time, I'm taking a look at a cartoon here by Dula, which is showing Senator Coons, who is currently who's been in the country, meeting a couple of leaders here and there. And as you can see there on the screen, they're saying, quick, we have to find an alternative term for handshake, which is now bipartisan talks, I guess, and then probably another name will come up. This having one bipartisan talk meeting once a week, is this a play you feel from one side to the other? Is there another game underneath?
Well, first of all, you need to remember that on Wednesday, there was a kind of a coincidence. The two sides were meeting, for the inaugural, interaction, to begin the talks, to lay, to prepare stage for the talks. And the president, during the same day, he said that, of course, the Azimio leader, engaged in he had an agreement with the Moi government. He had an agreement with the Kibaki government. And of course he had a handshake with the Uhuru government. I mean, there's a term he used, but when you look at Hustler, do you think it's going to happen really? So you see, that is a sign from the president that he's not going to, he's not ready to take any handshake thing. Yeah, he's not willing to, really welcome the opposition leader to the government. Yeah, so you see.
But what do we make then of the setting up of the office of the opposition, office of the leader of the opposition, the creation of the office of the leader of the opposition? Isn't that just, it could be a handshake, but behind our backs, just a hidden handshake? When you take a look at the setting up of the office of the leader of the opposition, which hasn't been there, but is provided by the constitution, is this a hidden handshake? Just by another term, as that cartoon has called it out.
Well, I think it is also important to, remember that the opposition leader, that is, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, okay, he also had this issue of is demanding for the auditing of the 2022 August, presidential elections. And, he's really prioritizing this matter. And of course, the cost of living. So I don't think really the establishment of the office of the opposition leader really,
points towards anything like a handshake.
Yeah, like, even when he's addressing the crowds out there, he seems not very interested in that matter. He kind of, doesn't see any value, from it. Yeah, so he's very interested, from the outlook, he's very interested in the auditing of the 2022 presidential elections. I mean, he has run 5 times, losing each and every time. And, losing to people who were once his subordinates. I mean, just
the president was in ODM.
Put yourself in his shoes and, just try to figure out how it would, be.
Right. Some of those, let me go through that agenda, and then I get to hear from you as well. If then does that mean there are hidden agendas behind, this government, between President Ruto and Raila, first of all, but also his support team, the team that is being set up. They might be looking for the crumbs that fall and see what they can pick as a result there. But the agenda, Kenya Kwanza has listed the reconstitution of the IEBC, the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule, entrenchment of the constitution, the Constituency Development Fund in the Constitution, the creation of the office of the leader of the opposition, and the entrenchment of the office of the cabinet secretary into the constitution. We say here on this show a couple of times before, the illegal office or the illegitimate office of the cabinet secretary, of the prime cabinet secretary, but they need this also entrenched in the constitution. On the other hand, Azimio wants the high cost of living, the audit of the 2022 presidential election results, and an end to the interference with political parties and outstanding constitutional issues on governance, and the delimitation of boundaries added to this list of agendas. But there is a general disagreement. What can we expect at the end of August if there's no agreement on this agenda? What can we expect as you see it, Joseph Kess?
Well, I think it is, this is a matter of wait and see, first of all, because, there is really that, there are really differences in this whole thing. See a contradiction. I mean, differences in what each side is demanding for. And I think it is also important to note at this point that, what Kenya Kwanza is bringing on the table is actually a proposal that was sent to the National Assembly by President William Ruto. The entrenchment of the the NGAF fund into the constitution. I mean, and also the establishment of the office of the opposition leader. You see, these are things that really don't look like they're making sense to the other side. And whatever this other side is bringing, the other side doesn't want to hear anything of it. So what we should expect, first of all, it's important to remember that the opposition leader, of course, said if we will not have reached and if we will not have had an agreement by the end of this month, we're going to call for a strike in terms of, staying in the house and
boycotting services,
boycotting, the economic, services. Yeah. So
is that something that can happen? Is it possible that to be an option? Technically, an economic hunger strike. Is that an option that Kenyans have, or is it just a privilege coming out of Raila's camp?
Well, I think it is important also to note that people say, Raila has very, very, loyal followers who always, follow what he says. But I think, at this point in time, it is very impossible because, of course, there is, the high cost of living that, Kenyans may not really be able to bear with if they follow that advice, staying in the house and, boycotting services. I think it may not work. Remember also that there was an issue by the Azimio la Umoja wa Kenya coalition. They established a website, remember, to collect signatures.
Signatures, right. How did that go? How did that go?
We haven't heard of it in a while.
Okay.
So you see, even, boycotting of services
might not
follow
be
the same, may also not be effective just the same way the signature collection has not been, of course, successful.
So when you look at it, Kes, what kind of options does the opposition have at this point? If in my outlook, President William Ruto could play this out for 5 years, yeah? So we do bipartisan talks for 2 months, go for a break, do mandamano here, moja mbili tatu, come back, have talks. We do this and repeat for 4 years, and then the 4th year we just do our campaigns and go out. If that would be the approach, because it's been a year and so far there's nothing fruitful that has fallen on the camps of Azimio side. If anything, they've been losing a lot of their following, they've been losing a lot of their members. If you can see, one of the issues that they have highlighted here is that they want to end the interference of their own political parties, because the government or the Kenya Kwanza team is poaching, essentially the leaders or members of parliament from the side of the opposition, and it's now lacking in strength. The continued lacking of strength, if it plays out, what kind of options at this point does Raila have? We've seen threats, tutakupeleka ICC, tutaandamana, economic sabotage. Could he run out of at the end of the road of on how to approach William Ruto?
First of all, before I talk about that, the coming of the ICC prosecutor, that is Karim Khan, into the country came at a time when both sides are struggling, with this whole bipartisan thing, trying to, a lot of differences between the two sides. You see, they were talking about ICC, and coincidentally, the government brings in, the ICC prosecutor into the country. So, what really could have led to this? That is, questions that Kenyans are asking themselves. Is it because the government is maybe trying to show the opposition that this may not really be possible?
Yeah, because they're in good terms with the ICC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it really a way of trying to communicate with the opposition and show them that this may not be possible? But I would say that it is important, first of all, for us to, of course, wait for the talks to end and see if both sides really will have an agreement. Remember, they spoke last week. I remember I covered that story. And, both leaders, the leaders of both sides, Kimani Ichung'wah, the majority leader in the National Assembly, and Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper leader, they said they have good faith if the technical teams could just agree on matters to be discussed, then I think the progress will be good. So I think it is imperative at this moment in time for Kenyans to just wait for, what really is going to happen. And of course, let us also wait and see, maybe the anticipated Chris Coons impact.
Right, Dennis Kimani is tuned in, saying public participation, 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. Is that the case? Do you feel like there's a one man, one shilling, one vote, or there is a shadow government that is running these operations? When you, just before we close up this handshake talks, they're calling them bipartisan talks, but when you see the interactions William Ruto has had with Raila Odinga so far, a closed door meeting with the former Nigerian president Obasanjo, which happened in the coastal region, with no one else, no member of parliament, nothing, no one in between, just the three of them in a room for a couple of minutes. Whatever they spoke about, they did speak about there. We saw William Ruto going out to, Samia Suluhu, president of the Republic of Tanzania, and tweeting out Raila Odinga saying, whenever you want us to talk, mahali nataka tupatane at whatever time, ndugu yangu tutapatana, right? And as you said there, we saw Khan coming into the country. We are seeing Senator Kuhn from the United States as well around. What is the agenda of these talks? I know they've listed a couple of these issues. Is this a conversation on Raila Odinga and William Ruto, or is it a conversation of the people? One man, one shilling, one vote. President Uhuru Kenyatta was meeting the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, a few days ago, and a few days later, right? Former president, right? Uhuru Kenyatta, and meeting the president of Uganda, Museveni, and now President William Ruto is just from a sit down with the same man a few days later. Doesn't this point out something sinister? Is there something hidden? Is there a hidden agenda? And we're just waiting on the cost of living, but in the end, it's just the same old handshake, as I've been insisting from when we were starting this discussion.
Well, I would say that there are several coincidences in this whole thing.
Are they coincidences?
One thing happening, and of course, something that really points to the same thing, to the same result happening. Like you've said, the visit to the Ugandan president. So this is really a matter of wait and see. But it is also important to remember that these are people who worked together before. Of course, Raila has worked with Ruto before, and Uhuru also has worked with Raila, before. So I think coming to an agreement may not really be very difficult for these leaders, but it is important to look at how the ordinary mwananchi is benefiting from this thing, or is losing from this thing. And I would say that for any leader to establish, to be able to achieve something, I think they try and please the ordinary citizen. That is why for Raila to maybe achieve anything, he has to lure the citizens into this whole thing. For Ruto, the same thing. You've seen the president go to the central region, to launch projects, and also to actually address a lot of matters. It was kind of a campaign, actually.
It's a means to another end, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they use the use of the citizens, the ordinary citizens. The ordinary citizens are a very important tool, for these leaders. And it does not just happen in Kenya. It actually happens in all places across the world.
Right. Okay. Not so much of coincidences, but more of political ploy there. Let's play a game. As they are playing the political game on that other end, let's do one here on the show as we come back and then wrap up on some other stories we might be focusing on. I'm sure you're very familiar with this part of the show, right? You've seen this before?
Well, I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And I've seen you've been winning in every occasion.
Yeah.
But today I'm going to defeat you. Actually, don't allow Kenya to defeat me today. I mean,
it's not a matter of who's allowing what. It's just what it is. Yeah. It is what it is. Let's see. If you're at home, there are a few questions here that we get to answer, and then jibu, mark against yourself. We see how well versed you are in general knowledge around you and around Africa and around Kenya. Let's go. The first question: what does ECOWAS stand for? Huyu jamaa alishaanza kuandika before hata nianze.
Mimi siandiki hizo vitu. I'm writing something else.
Andika admission number na ECOWAS. Let's go. Well, second question, what is the name of the largest supermarket chain in Kenya? We've had this question before. Oh, man. Which body in Kenya regulates petroleum, electricity, and renewable energy sector? Which is the largest bank in Kenya by assets? Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Okay, question number 5. What is the name of the largest brewery in Kenya? What company owns WhatsApp? Kes unafuatilia. Unaandika bro. Which Kenyan company is the highest taxpayer? Oh, sorry. Pardon, I skipped there. I went ahead of time. The question before, I didn't answer then. Who owns WhatsApp? Okay, let's go. The next question there is, which Kenyan company is the highest taxpayer? And then we have another question here, which is the oldest bank in Kenya? The Central Bank. Oh man, oh man, oh man. What does the KHRC organization in Kenya stand for? Next question, who is Kenya's Chief of Defense Forces? What? Anaitwanga nani? I think that's it. Those are 10 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, pens down bana. Wewe kijana. Exam ishaisha bana. Let's go. Question number 1. Economic Community of West African States. All right. Second question, biggest chain, Naivas. What is the name of, the first one, ECOWAS. Are we showing it? Yeah, ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. That's what you got there. Number 2, the name of the largest supermarket chain in Kenya, Naivas. So we both have Naivas. Right. Naivas, the largest chain, yeah? Naivas saves you money. That's what they say. Which body in Kenya regulates energy, petroleum, and renewable energy sources? That is EPRA, right? That is EPRA, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Maish, can you say that in a continuous statement? And then you can text us on KUTV. We'll just check it out and see. That is EPRA. We got it correct. Third question, which is the largest bank in Kenya? Fourth question, actually, which is the largest bank in Kenya by assets? And the answer is Equity Bank. Again, for the second time, I wrote KCB. Case is going ahead. Hey, what is the name of the largest brewery in Kenya? EABL, East African Breweries Limited. Next question. Case nitakupata tu mahali hapa. What company owns WhatsApp? Hapa ndo ninakupata. Meta. Yes, it's not Facebook. Facebook is owned by Meta too. Nimpata hapo. What is the Kenyan company? What Kenyan company is the highest taxpayer? Still Safaricom. Right. So Safaricom is. Question number 8, which is the oldest bank in Kenya? KCB. I wrote Family Bank. Guess, do I say how many ache?
Somewhat.
Yeah, And ameandika Central Bank actually. So it's the KCB, right? Number 9, KHRC stands for the Kenya Human Rights Commission. Yeah, we got it. What is this scrutinized sana? Nimepata. Who is Kenya's Chief of Defense Forces? This is the ndio ina decide nani anapata hii swali. Who is it? Oh man. It's called Ogola. Man, I should have written. General Ogola. MGH, EBS, CDF. Chief of Defense Forces. Ogola. Major General Chief of Defense Forces Ogola. Ellen mepigwa. No maana I am slow. That's why I'm slow to answer. Leo nimepigwa. Kesa amepata 8 out of 10. Kesa 7 yani. Oh man. I have a 7. It's not so bad. But this guy spends all his time in the newsroom, so I think that's what is happening here. For the first time, I found my match here on Biashara Tuesday. 8 out of 10 for Kes and 7 out of 10 for me. Hey, your Chief of Defense Forces mstaki kujua niliandika nini, so let's hide it. We'll get to it sometime later. Kes, we've played that. If you're at home also, please tell us what answers you got, or if there's something tricky for you, I'll have to interact nawe hapo. But finally, just to wrap it up, I know we've talked about bipartisan / handshake and also the devolution conference, which are the two major political conversations happening across the republic, but the cost of living as well. EPRA has maintained the fuel prices for August, right? And all the way to September, it's going to be the same at 194 per litre of petrol instead of 202. Earlier this year, President William Ruto was saying in May that, even before he came into power, that subsidies are not part of his plan for economic empowerment, and they've scrapped that from the moment they came into power. In May, we saw the scrapping of all fuel subsidies, but there seems to be a turnaround, yeah. And now we have fuel subsidies, effectively. I don't know if it's fuel subsidies. From my end, I feel it's reprieve and a way for EPRA to pay for its sins in July. We saw the EPRA General Director Daniel Kipto being called to the High Court to answer on why they were collecting taxes when the High Court had put a pause on the Finance Act. But now, a few days later, we are seeing, a return of the subsidies. So maybe or maybe not. And again, this is another coincidence. As you've said, there are several coincidences within this republic. We must be a republic of so many coincidences, right? So we are seeing this turnaround, yeah? And does this inform you of, a change of mind by William Ruto in his economic approach to how he's handling his maiden budget as well, and also the Finance Act, we just got approval from the High Court?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, let me say that fuel is very important, to every sector. Almost every sector depends on fuel. And you can actually see that the prices have been maintained. There's no much change. Mm. Yeah, there's no, the prices have not risen. Mm. They have not, reduced. Mm-hmm. The prices have been maintained for fuel,
right? For
diesel, petroleum, as well as
kerosene from now all the way to next month. Yes.
Yeah. So, but remember, we also have the 16% VAT. Mm-hmm. It is still there. Mm-hmm. So we are just waiting to see maybe what is the impact of this 16% VAT beginning, September 15th this year. Mm-hmm. But okay, of course, the prices being, remaining at that level, I can say it is really kind of a relief to Kenyans. Mm-hmm. Kenyans have been looking forward to, the hiking of fuel prices. Mm-hmm. But again, it is important to note that the cost of unga, the cost of sugar are still up there. Mm-hmm. So I think the government, has to come in and at least, maintain these prices instead of really having them hike. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it must be working to the advantage of, the citizen.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Finally, just to finish it up with the High Court, while still at the High Court has barred the cryptocurrency farm, WorldCoin. So if you have a couple of WorldCoins yourself at home, this is information that you need to know about. A few days ago, there was a siege, or there's a seize of the property belonging to WorldCoin. Most of these are being the globe-looking equipment they use to scan your iris before they give you that WorldCoin token that you can get in the World app, effectively to trade between cryptocurrencies or to convert to cash. Now, this case escalated after popularity went online and offline. You know, it was the most spoken about thing. Kingia kwa mtandao, it's WorldCoin. You go offline, people have WorldCoin. Now, Kenya High Court has barred WorldCoin from collecting data from, Kenyans, pending the determination of a petition that has been put there by the Office of the Data Protection Commission. They allowed WorldCoin to set up operation in Kenya initially, but now they are changing the tune, saying that, they didn't really disclose what exactly they'll be doing with this kind of private information, which is the iris that they are scanning of every Kenyan. And WorldCoin is only set up in Kenya, by the way, just for your information. This is an American-founded company that is only currently operating in Kenya. It has risen a lot of concern with the Office of the Data Protection Commission, which was set up in 2019. And I have to really commend that step forward that we took, creating of this Data Protection Commission has helped us against rogue lenders. Sijui kama unakumbuka some time back, calls from, these lenders, napigia relatives, nini, and the Data Protection Commission put a halt onto this through the CBK. And now they're saying that WorldCoin should keep off Kenyans' eyes. In this kind of economic situation, many have been lining up to receive as little or as much as they can for whatever kind of information this WorldCoin farm wants. And now they're saying, from the comments I see here, wakujia hata sauti zetu. Wakitaka hata sauti hata eribubu ambaye ako na pesa kuliko mwenye ana struggle within the economy. What do you make of this story, Kes, as we wrap up?
Well, I think it is important, first of all, to remember that, the PS in the Ministry of, the Interior Ministry, Interior and National Administration, that is Dr. Raymond Omolo, just sat down with, some experts in the, and he actually said that the Data Protection Act, I don't remember which act exactly it was, but it had something to do with this whole thing.
Yeah, the Data Protection Law of 2019.
Yeah.
Yes.
2019 or 2018?
It was a bill in 2018, then law in 2019.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is going to be, kind of amended, just in efforts to ensure that Kenyans are protected, from, this cybercrime, this whole thing. It is related, actually. And the action by those who have gone to court to to issue a petition against this, it is really a good step. It shows that at the end of the day, the government is keen on protecting the privacy of Kenyans. But Kenyans are still asking. This company was in operation for quite some time.
Right.
Why
since 2021.
Why the late interventions?
It's like a knee-jerk reaction from the government.
Yeah. So it is also a matter of wait and see. Is this thing really going to be banned from the country?
Okay.
Yeah, but of course, Kenyans have been a section of Kenyans have been desperate.
Are you among this section of Kenyans? Do you have a couple of WorldCoins? It's a free space. Do you happen to have a few of those?
Well, depending on the industry I work in, I would really not.
A good journalist does not reveal his sources. Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that we wait and see whether they will be allowed to continue with the operations or they are barred completely. But data protection is very important.
Right. Sure, data protection is very important, and we'll be having more of that conversation as the petition is heard or when the determination is done by the High Court. You can read about it in the Business Daily, where they've put it on page 4. Keep off Kenyans' eyes, the court is telling WorldCoin. Last word from you, Joseph Kes, is, again, watu wa kuone Primetime News, alafu you can read us here a quote from a cytogeneticist. I'd love to know what that means. A cytogeneticist and winner of the 1983 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. So this is a Nobel Prize winner from 1983. We'll get that quote, but also remind people where they can get more of your work as you do it at KUTV.
Well, of course, we have a lot happening in the country. Let me begin with that. You know, the second round of the bipartisan talks expected to resume on Monday next week. Kenyans are really anticipating to see is this second round really the solution to the difference that has been there between the opposition and the government. It is a matter of wait and see. We also wait, to see what really will come out of this devolution conference. Devolution has been there for 10 years. What is going to be addressed? What is the government going to prioritize? Remember this, by the way, Richard, comes at a time when, happens in a county where we saw this Finland
scholarship scandal.
Yeah, so coincidentally.
That's where
the additional coincidence.
Too many coincidences, right?
Yeah, the devolution conference is happening in Eldoret. I mean, Uasin Gishu County. That had, of course, that issue, the Finland saga. We're waiting to see what really we will witness from, this devolution conference. Yeah, so
final quote.
That is it.
Right. Last word there.
Okay. Richard has just told me to read this quote here by Barbara MC Clintock. If you know you are on the right track, if you have this inner knowledge, then nobody can turn you off, no matter what they say.
Let's get it again.
Well, if you know you are on the right track, if you have this inner knowledge, then nobody can turn you off, no matter what they say.
All right. That's from Joseph Kess. Thank you very much for joining us here on Biashara Tuesday. That was the newspaper review. You can get it later on YouTube. And I see also here a comment, again, Dennis Kimani, saying Office of the Prime Cabinet is an executive order and not a constitutional provision, and reminding you there'll be an Africa Climate Summit from the 4th to the 8th of September. We'll be giving you more information before September comes on how you can attend that climate summit. I'm finishing with a quote from my latest read, which is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It was a military read, but very applicable to your day to day. So I'm going to read one of those from The Art of War that really struck with me. He says, Sun Tzu said, if you know the enemy and you know yourself, there's no need to fear the result of 100 battles. If you know the enemy, if you know yourself and you don't know the enemy, for every victory gained, there will be a defeat. But if you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, there's no need to fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself and you don't know the enemy, for every victory gained, there's going to be a defeat. If you know neither the enemy and do not know yourself, you will succumb in every single battle. Thank you for joining us here on Biashara Tuesday. From my whole crew, my producer and director, Ryan Bure, on the transmission desk is Frank Major Minor.